Sometimes you're open for a reason. Thrown! Ring it up!
Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Kicking around the perimeter, shot clock winding down. Manic fires, bottom. What a smooth stroke from Brady Manic.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Nice little pin down curl. Ready call. Woo! Williams supplying the block.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Justin Moore working with Samuels. Carlton out on him, gets a step on him. Samuels, as White closes, he scores and one.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, good afternoon on this Tuesday, March the 29th. Baylor men's basketball losing Jerome Tang to Kansas State. Today, Scott Drew announced changes in his staff. 1 addition, 3 promotions. John Jacobs and Alvin Brooks III promoted to associate head coaches. And then also Jared Nunez now becomes a part of the assistant coaching staff as an assistant coach. And Tweety Carter, the former Baylor great, who kind of really kick-started their next level when he arrived out of Louisiana. Tweety Carter, who's been on this show many times, the star in a lot of ways of Ode to Joy, will join us tomorrow. He is now on the staff in player development as Scott Drew then responds, of course, to losing Jerome Tang. And by the way, I'll give you a little background on Alvin Brooks. There's the Tweety Carter graphic. He was announced coming back home. Alvin Brooks III was looked at by other schools, at least they wanted him. And he sent me a text, I said this yesterday, that he loves being a part of the winning culture. Well, now an associate head coach at Baylor, as Jerome Tang now is in Manhattan.
Yeah, and not surprised to see these guys on the way up on the staff. They're the next wave. Alvin Brooks, comes from a coaching family. His dad's the head coach. As most people know, Lamar now was on the Houston staff a year ago. He's got basketball in his blood. Jared Nunez, it's time. I mean, it's time for him to take that step, and he's done a great job. And John Jacobs has a fantastic resume, and so. They're going to lose a lot in Jerome Tang. You don't just kind of replace a guy like that, but they've got guys who are ready, and Scott Drew's always been able to do that. When Grant McCaslin left, or Paul Mills, or Matt Driscoll, he's always had guys in the wings, and one of his strengths is not only developing players, but developing coaches as well.
Yeah, it's good to see some finality on the staff and see, Scott move pretty quickly to make up for the loss of Jerome Tang, and does also answer some questions about remaining staff members and who would have potentially gone with Jerome Tang. I mean, I didn't know, but you just throw it out there like, hey, will Alvin Brooks go with him? Will John Jacobs go with him? I mean, why? Those guys, want to build their careers up too. But hey, a promotion in-house and getting to stick around the program you've been with and being able to go up a level is a good deal for those guys. So glad that they're all sticking around. That's big for Scott Drew. It's big for these players to know that there's going to be some change, but there's not going to be too much change. I mean, I'm sure there will be a big vacancy felt when they resume practicing and there's no Tang there. I mean, that's going to feel different, but the fact that the majority of those voices will be back should be beneficial. What
Tweety Carter also brings to the table is obviously the fact that he's the first ever McDonald's All-American that Baylor received as a commitment from back when Scott Drew first arrived. And then a few years into it, Tweety Carter was the one that kind of set the table as they started to get the blood flow of talent into the Baylor system. He also is from Louisiana, a hotbed of any kind of talent, football, basketball, whatever. They, of course, with Tweety Carter now around New Orleans and that area, that allows him to have that lifeblood into his home state of Louisiana. We're going to have Alvin Brooks III in about 10 minutes. We'll have John Jacobs at 4. Mac Rhodes joins us at 4:20, and then also today at 5, Jared Nunez. All of them available to us tomorrow, Tweety Carter early in the show. And also today, Terrence Oglesby. He's a part of the Field of 68 podcast with Jeff Goodman and Rob Douster. He covers the ACC very heavily, and he's going to join us today at 3:30 to discuss North Carolina, Duke, the Final Four, also with Villanova, Kansas as well. Craig's off the radar. John McClain today, and then also Paul's Top 5 to close out the show. So those are some of the things and notes from today. There's a couple of other things to get to as well.
Yeah, Tweety was the first Louisianimal.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, they're absolutely. And so that helps them with that. Craig, are you going to use the NFL rules today on Off the Radar?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, remember the controversy, Kansas City, Buffalo, overtime. Buffalo never had a chance, right, to touch the football. They've approved this, that the team that now you get, each team will have a possession in overtime. Now, I still think that so much went into who didn't get a possession in overtime, but who also coughed up a lead in 13 seconds or whatever. But they are now, both teams have an opportunity to possess the ball in overtime. And then if that still hasn't decided it, then they go back to sudden death. Thoughts?
Yeah, good. Maybe I don't.
Is that going to keep the sun from rushing into the Earth's core?
No, I mean it's not gonna. Maybe it'll make it better. You hate that you have this epic, unbelievable game in fourth quarter, and then you kind of know that it's going to end because both defenses are gassed. So the coin flip decided that game. Because what you had to hope is, if you were a Buffalo fan, that somebody from Kansas City just made a really stupid mistake. And the same thing had the other thing had the coin flip gone the other way. If Buffalo had won the coin flip, Kansas City had a hope that somebody did something stupid because both defenses were absolutely out of gas and weren't going to get in anybody's way.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it was dumb that you relied on a coin flip to give one person a possession. I mean, in basketball overtime, do you just let one team flip a coin, win it, and they just go shoot as many free throws, and if they make 5, they win the game? How stupid would that be? Do we hockey shootouts, but only one team, because they won the coin flip, gets to shoot their goals, and if they make all of them, they win? Like, how dumb is that? But so why did we tolerate like this? I mean, the sudden death brings a certain element of fun to it, but I felt like it really killed that game between the Chiefs and the Bills, in my opinion. That was a super exciting game, and it kind of petered out just based on the fact that we had to go overtime and have a stupid coin flip that had absolutely nothing to do with the flow of the game. It was just who was lucky that a quarter landed. Like, that to me is preposterous. So, you know, there were things to like about that. I mean, the sudden death aspect did give an element of, you know, just like stress and you know, excitement, I suppose. But it also was just like, it really left you feeling flat after a lot of those games, quite frankly. Like, why you walked away not going, wow, what a great overtime period. You walked away going like, this is how we decide these games. Like, yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, both teams deserve a possession. If you were tied at the end of regulation, if you were tied through 4 quarters of play, why would one team have an advantage? You were tied. So why would you not both have the same chance to win the game that you were tied in after regulation? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I'm all for both teams getting possessions. And, I look forward to just seeing how it plays out. You know, they have been tinkering with this for a long time now. So hopefully this is the formula that works and one that they can stick with for a while.
Well, and it takes the NFL a long time to figure out what their overall goal is for a certain thing. Like, it took them, you know, more than a decade to figure out what actually constituted a catch within the laws of the physical world.
That's true.
And so overtime should be a little bit easier than that. You know, I think Craig's kind of simplified it to its very core of it's tied. You know, somebody's, you know, in good with the coin gods, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, Josh Allen and the Bills played their butts off, and they're sitting there tied toe-to-toe, and you don't even get a chance to win the game, but the other team does. Why? Because a coin. Like, that, yeah, that makes no sense to me. So I'm glad that they changed it.
But there are grumpy old men, and, I mean, on this set, obviously I'm the happiest of the three. Here are a couple of longtime NFL writers and their response to the overtime rule now. And by the way, I'm for the newest. At least it makes both teams do get to touch the football. Field goal, no score, whatever, touchdown. And Armstrong, I threw a couple more tweets at you. One from Mike Sando and one from Gary Myers. Gary Myers, of course, used to work in the Dallas Morning News as well. And you could pop up whichever one first. I'll go from there.
And we do need to clarify, this is playoffs only.
Playoffs only, not regular season. From Gary Myers, NFL owners voted a new rule today, assuring each team gets a chance. Direct result of the Bills never touching the ball in overtime in the playoffs in Kansas City. No rule passed, though, to assure the Bills' defense doesn't choke in the final 13 seconds of regulation. That's tongue-in-cheek and also part of, let's not forget that happened as well. And then from also Mike Sando, Buffalo blowing the game was by far the biggest variable in the Buffalo-KC game. Citing overtime rules would be like citing a faulty rear spoiler as a factor in a crash when a guy was driving his car 200 miles an hour in the wrong direction on a 2-lane road at night while reading on his phone. Not to forget that, yes, the Bills could have sealed that thing with one play, any play. But at least now.
What did the KC defense do in overtime?
They didn't
have to go out there. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, we could pop on them too, and we probably would have if the Bills got their chance. So, yeah, I mean, the Bills deserve the little jabs right there because their defense did fold like a cheap tent, but the Chiefs defense didn't have to see the field, so I don't see how that makes sense.
And look, it's not just, I mean, that was the game. It was a bad ending to what was one of the most epic games ever.
Yeah.
So
considering the circumstances,
that's what highlighted the issue. But there are many other games that have gone on the playoffs in history, which maybe not as epic and back and forth. I mean, you might have, a 13-13 game in a snowstorm, but in that case, a good kick return can win the game for you, and that doesn't seem to be fair. Like there's all these different things. Like just that way you don't have to worry about this ruining the most epic game again, because something like that's going to happen again one day. And you have the ability to prevent the bad ending.
You also have the ability to, you still have the ability to end that game before it got to a coin flip. But I'm okay with it. How much did social media create this?
Oh, I mean, probably
it's like everything in America now.
I think that we so overrate social media. I really do. I think all you have to do is look at the Oscars ratings. When the Will Smith thing happened, you would have thought everybody in the world was watching the Oscars. They gained 400,000 viewers. That is a peanut in the bucket. That's a drop in the bucket of this entire country and the viewers and what you would expect. So all that social media, all that Twitter fervor, they got me to tune in for 5 seconds before quickly turning it back off. That gained less than 500,000 people. But what would you have thought it was? What would you have thought the jump was for the 10 million people?
10 million people.
And I'm telling
massive.
you, it's I think Clay Travis, I don't agree with everything that he always, spouts off about or kind of the way he does things sometimes. But I do think that just like anybody else, he raises good points from time to time. And I have seen him before talk about Twitter being a funhouse mirror and people treat it like it's real life. And really, it's just a distortion of real life. And I think that's so accurate. I agree with that. And I think that ratings is a prime example of that, and the fact that, you would have thought everybody in the world was talking about that and watching and tuned in, but in actuality, not really at all. Now, I do think social media can, push organizations to debate change and think about change. I think it kind of just depends on the party, though, because I don't think for one freaking second the NFL is caving or feeling pressured by anything, much less social media. I don't think I think their actions have shown they really do not care what the public thinks unless they're absolutely forced, Ray Rice, into having to make a decision that's influenced by the public.
We will hear from Alvin Brooks III here momentarily. He and John Jacobs are both promoted to associate head coach as the staff changes announced today by Scott Drew and Baylor Athletics and Baylor men's basketball. Alvin Brooks will join us, and then at 4 o'clock, John Jacobs, 5 o'clock, Jared Nunez will join us as well. There was an article today released in The Athletic by Nicole Auerbach. I don't know exactly when we'll get to it, but I've reached out to her for us to have her as a guest perhaps tomorrow. And, oh, by the way, it's about the focus or the trending of where the conference money will be in the next 2, 4, 8, 7, 8, 9 years as far as the difference. And the difference, of course, in the SEC and the Big Ten, twice as much at some point down the road. Over $100 million for each school compared to in the lower 50s for most of the others in the Big 12, the ACC, and or the Pac-12. That's a story we'll try to get to if we possibly can here in a moment. Alvin Brooks, again, will join us here momentarily, Baylor associate head coach. Let's take you want to mention what I said? Did you read that article? If not, we could take a break and come back with Alvin.
I actually read that article a couple weeks ago from somebody else that had that information out there. I can't recall whose name it was, but I remember reading an article, at least a couple weeks ago, if not maybe even farther back, that had pretty much that same exact information. It's daunting for schools that are in these, conferences outside of the Big Ten and the SEC. But this is what everybody rooted for, right? This is what y'all wanted, this mini NFL. Well, you're going to probably get it because college football is it's fracturing in a major way. It's not getting closer. It's breaking apart in grand fashion, and nobody really to blame but the administrators and then all the people involved that have been sitting on their hands for the last several years, just waiting for other people to make decisions for them. Well, look at what you created, and try to fix this and navigate this. That's not going to be easy.
We're now joined by Alvin Brooks III, associate head basketball coach for Baylor men's basketball. He and John Jacobs are both associate head coaches as Scott Drew announces some of the changes with Jerome Tang headed to Manhattan. And Alvin Brooks III joins us now on Sick on 365 Radio. What's that sound like to you? Does the title, it doesn't change you because I know you, but what does it mean?
It sounded different. I'll definitely tell you that. I don't know if I chuckled a little bit just because I've never heard that in front of my name before. So sounds different.
So for you, what does this change your day-to-day life?
I just think, it's kind of like any family or any team that you're a part of that's successful is, it's kind of the next man up mentality. And, everybody will have different duties and different responsibilities that we've had in the past. And, it gives us all an opportunity to continue to grow.
Coach, what did Coach Drew actually say to you, and what was that conversation like, as much as you want to reveal in terms of him just telling you about the promotion?
Well, he called me. He called me over the phone, and he said, we just small talking, and then, he said, well, how about you and Coach Jacobs being co-associate head coaches, because I think both of you guys are head coaches. for the future. And I said, really? And so I think I was kind of surprised. And obviously I'm very thankful and very grateful that, he thinks that highly of both of us.
Well, by the way, he's not the only one. A lot of people do, but also you and I traded a text or two about a week ago. There were a couple of schools, media that covers a few other schools, that asked me about you and other places, and your response was, I love being a part of the winning culture at Baylor University. And that might have been before the call from Scott Drew as well. Can you try to describe that and also try to keep as much of this together as you can?
Well, it was actually at that time I already knew.
Okay.
And so it was just, obviously, something that we couldn't reveal until the right moment. And so, my name was on Twitter for a lot of different things. And, that's not something that I can control. We call it championship problems. And so it's a blessing when your name is a part of things that mean that you're winning. And, I'm excited to be a part of this special family. And, my family is excited to be a part of this special family.
So, Coach Drew said that, he feels you and Coach Jacobs will be head coaches one day. One of the things that the Baylor staff has always been good at doing is developing players, but maybe a little under the radar is developing coaches. I mean, there's, a bunch of guys who are head coaches now around the country at different jobs. How do you feel about the development that happens within a coaching staff when you're a young coach moving your way up under Coach Drew?
He allows you to do a lot. And, there's nothing like experience. It's kind of like players when you're playing a lot in practice and you playing in games, the experience allows you to get better. And, we have, the Bible verse, iron sharpens iron. We're surrounded by other great coaches, whether they're young, old, GAs or managers, or even learning from other players, a part of our program. I think it's a psychological safety that we've created that allows everyone to get better together.
Coach, obviously there had been, talk, and all of you guys have dreams and goals of your own, so I don't think it's any surprise that Jerome Tang was, hoping for a head coaching job. So after all these years, it finally occurs for him in a good spot there at K-State. What was your reaction to just the news? I'd imagine there's probably some semblance of not being surprised because you know what he's capable of, but, how surprising was it, and just how different do you think it's going to be?
Well, not surprised at all because, he's definitely he's been ready to be a head coach. I think for me personally, he's a huge reason why I chose to come to Baylor. You're talking about someone that was invited and came to my wedding. And so I had a special relationship, or I should say have, because, I have a special relationship with Coach Tang. And so it was different for me just because, even now it's crazy. I just left a voice message on his cell phone and told him it still feels like that he's on a long recruiting trip and he's coming back soon. But obviously reality is he's gone. And so, it's a big adjustment just because, defensively, him and I, we focused on the defense a lot together. And so it'll be a little different without him, but, as a staff, we'll continue to move forward.
We'll have John Jacobs at 4, that, and also then Jared Nunez. Tweety's on with us tomorrow. But tell me a little bit about Jared Nunez. He's been a part of this for a long time, played at Valpo. So he's connected to this coaching tree in a lot of ways, a player at Valpo. But tell us a little bit about Jared Nunez and the opportunity for him.
It's a great opportunity for him. He's been around Coach Drew longer than any of us because he was a player at Valpo when Coach Drew was an assistant there. So he knows Coach Drew a lot better than a lot of us. And so, he's been here for over a decade. So he knows the Baylor way. He's had a lot to do with the success that we've had, but it's just been behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And so now I think he'll continue to do what he do, and obviously it'll be in the forefront and more behind the scenes now.
What kind of a coach do you think that Tweety Carter will be?
He'll be a guy that brings a lot of energy to the gym. He smiles a lot. So, he could brighten up the gym and bring an energetic, smiling vibe. And, also to be a McDonald's All-American, and a point guard, he has a lot of knowledge that he could pass on to our guys. And, I could tell from, he likes to work people out. Obviously he won't be able to do that in his role now, but he'll be able to give us pointers if he sees something for us to be able to help our guys.
Was that kind of a no-brainer for you? I mean, did you see Tweety and coaching kind of going hand in hand eventually?
Yes. Yes. From the first day I met him and watched him and observed him, he'll play against our guys, and he's one of the few guys that will play against you and also try to teach you at the same time. Most people are so competitive to where they won't teach you until after the game. He was a guy that would teach our guards during the game on something that he may have seen that they could have done better. And so a guy that does that, that they love to teach the game. And, that's all coaching is teaching.
I'm going to ask you this question. There's a young man who's at the McDonald's All-American game right now. Can you talk about him? Because he is signed, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he's signed.
I just wanted to make sure because I know he did, but I wanted to make sure.
Thank you for looking out for no violation.
Because I didn't know if there was a fine line. I'm glad you confirmed that, Paul. You as well. But he won the 3-point shooting contest last night. That's no surprise, and you had a lot to do with his. I know everybody does, but you had a lot to do with Keontae George. Can you tell us what you think about him?
First, Keontae is a great kid, first and foremost, and he comes from a great family. That's huge for us because we pride ourselves on being a culture of joy. In order to do that, you have to have great people, and he's very talented. Obviously he's a McDonald's All-American, and there's only so many guys that in the world that can say they was ever a McDonald's All-American. So he's very talented and he's very coachable. And I think that's one thing that as a staff during the recruiting process that really excited us to have him join our family is during the process, we didn't have to tell him everything that he was great at. He wanted to hear what could he get 1% better at. And I think that's something that we loved as a staff, and he still to this day wants to continue to get better. And that kind of spirit, I feel like he'll have a great career.
How much does winning a championship allow you to maybe tighten the filter on not guys with ability? There's tons of guys who can play, but guys you can kind of look at and go, okay, this is a guy who will fit here at Baylor because of his work ethic, and not have to maybe cast a wider net over and take chances on guys.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a fine line. Obviously, I think in some cases, you feel like your culture may be strong enough to help someone. And I think it's a thin line. You try to figure out, do as much research as possible. And, hopefully that you find someone that obviously they have to be talented enough in order to help us win the way we want to win. But, we try to find guys that are willing to sacrifice. So I think that's the biggest thing is, how much would they sacrifice when they get here? And the fact that they will love Baylor and just not use Baylor to try to get what they want to get, if that makes sense.
It does. Coach, just looking back, I know it's still sort of fresh and there's been a lot going on since then, but just kind of looking back on this past season, have you had any time to sort of reflect, or is that something you'll do later on?
No, I actually did. I probably more this past couple of days more than anything, and just talking to my dad about it. And I don't think people realize. I just talked to one of our players just probably less than 30 minutes ago, and we were talking about this past season, and we went the last 10 weeks without our entire team. January 8th at TCU was the last time we had our entire team. And at that moment, we were undefeated. And so, it's injuries, that's something that you can't control. But to finish the last 10 weeks without your entire team and to still, be Big 12 champions and have a number one seed says a lot about the character and the work ethic of the guys that we have, because, different guys stepped up at different moments because we had at least someone hurt and out majority of the time.
Alvin, congratulations. I'm going to say it again. Associate head coach at Baylor basketball. You're still laughing. You're still giggling. It's kind of
it's crazy.
Man, that sounds great. Kind of a nervous, hell yeah. Yeah, that's good, man.
God is good. God is good.
John will join us today at 4, Jared today at 5, and then also tomorrow, Tweety Carter. Alvin, appreciate you communicating back and forth with me over the weekend and also being a part of today's show, and go enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alvin Brooks III, Associate Head Coach, Baylor Men's Basketball. Jake us again in 30 minutes. Coming up next, you have this North Carolina-Duke thing, and so I watched the Field of 68 quite a bit with Jeff Goodman. He joins the show, of course, along with Rob Douster, who's been on the show with us a few times as well. But there's also Terrence Oglesby. He is heavily covers the ACC, played at Clemson, and very good at breaking down the Final Four in college basketball in general. And Terrence Oglesby will join us next on the Final Four on Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, and Villanova. Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness is a partner of the City of Waco? Did you know that we are open to the public? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers day passes to the public for only $10 a day, and we offer money-saving memberships. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including bar, yoga, boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. There are free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, elliptical machines, and much more on the spacious weight room floor. Personal training available where you can be encouraged to grow. Sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. 17 tennis courts, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Waco's premier experience where you can help your mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at wacotennis.com. Call us at 254-753-7675 or visit us next to Hawaiian Falls on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Cars priced right both day and night. At Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Terrence Oglesby is a part of the field of 68. Jeff Goodman, who was in our studio just, a few weeks back. Also Rob Douster and Terrence, part of that as well. It's a great show at night. Covers college basketball whenever there's something. And even more, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. And through the technology of Zoom, Terrence joins us on our show as well. Terrence, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. Your thoughts, could the tournament have come up with 4 bluer bloods other than if UCLA and Kentucky were involved?
No, I don't think so. And a lot of people are starting to consider Villanova that program right now, right? So if they win again over these next 2 games, 3 in the last 6 years? That's absurd numbers. Those are John Wooden-like numbers for Jay Wright. No, you're absolutely right. Does it have a lot to be desired? Sure. But at the same time, it doesn't get much better than this. I mean, it's what college basketball is all about. And then you get a supreme matchup between 2 ACC teams. And I'm an ACC guy, so that makes me feel pretty good. It is Duke and North Carolina. I don't love those schools. But at the same time, it's going to make for a great matchup with Carolina, hopefully, if for their sake, ending Coach K's career. And for Duke fans, they're hoping they can win 2 more. And both teams are fully capable. But it's turned out to be one of the best tournaments in recent memory, at least during my lifetime, because of how many different teams were capable of winning games. It just happened to be the Blue Bloods that outlasted everybody else.
Terrence, as an ACC guy myself, an FSU guy, I also share your sentiment on Duke and UNC, but it does bring me to the point. Do we kind of nationally owe the ACC an apology for kind of poo-pooing on them all year about this conference?
You know what? I'm going to say no, because in the non-con, they just weren't very good. There's no reason to even attempt to hide that fact. You build your reputation. You build your league's reputation in the non-conference, which is November and December, when they play the ACC Big Ten, whenever they played all these out-of-conference games, whether it be North Carolina losing big to Purdue up in, where was it? It was up in New Jersey. You have to develop those reputation. You get what you deserve. There is still top end talent in the ACC, but there's something to consider. The ACC relies a lot on young players. Paolo Banchero. I mean, Jeremy Roach, is he just a sophomore? There's a lot of young players that the ACC relies on. It also comes down to, transfer portal for the ACC was also massive as well. It takes a second to get those guys going. A lot of people say, hey, as long as you're good in conference, your pre-conference is the time to develop. Not for the Power Six. And that's why the ACC was frowned upon so much this year. But top-end talent, when everybody learns how to play together, I think the ACC, from a talent perspective, is just as good as anybody else in the country. It just took a little bit longer this season.
Terrence, obviously these teams clashed less than a month ago or so in the ACC tournament. For Duke, obviously they've got not only the pressure of just being the Blue Devils, but also Coach K's final ride. How do you think they've navigated that? How much extra pressure maybe does that add now that they're into this Final Four? And just what did you make of the way that they got here?
You know what's crazy about that, guys, is I actually think that Duke is facing less pressure in the Final Four than they faced in Coach K's last game. Okay. And as crazy as that is to think about, with Christian Laettner, Grant Hill, Jerry Seinfeld, I'm throwing him in the mix. There were just all these former players for Coach K, and there was so much pressure on that one game, and it was almost like they couldn't get out of their own way, and they got tired towards the end. What were they, up 8 with 10 minutes to go, and they just ran out of gas? There was so much adrenaline that factored into that. I thought it made it tough on them. Now it's just the tournament. And if they lose, they're done, and that's fine. But they're facing the same pressure that everybody else is, with the added benefit of it doesn't get any worse than what we've already seen. It doesn't get any more pressure than what we've already gone through. So I think Duke's going to make a run of it. I think there's actually less pressure, like I said, than there was for the Coach K's final game.
I agree with you, because I think that game became almost hyperventilation. It became so much about him rather than the players, and it just got to the point where I think they almost wanted to win that game too much. And not to take away that North Carolina, speaking of which, has been red hot as well. Your thoughts about what they've done Hubert Davis, they had the game. We were there watching them blow out Baylor and then all of a sudden have to win the game in overtime, and what they've done at UNC.
Nobody's playing better. And, hey, guys, look, you guys know it as well as anybody. Baylor's been banged up. Their loss, I'm not holding that against Scott Drew or anybody else. That's a team that, if fully healthy, very well could have been playing in the Final Four this weekend. I know it. You know it. LJ Cryer knows it. Adam Flagler knows it. I'm not going to say it was a missed opportunity. I'm going to say how hard it is to repeat. But Baylor certainly had the tools. They just couldn't stay healthy. But this North Carolina team, and I think it's all spearheaded by R.J. Davis, the point guard from New York. What he does with the basketball in his hands, he's been given a lot more responsibility. And he gets into the lane, he pitches out. And the better he's played, the better Brady Manick has played, because Brady Manick needs somebody to create those shots for him. And R.J. Davis is more of a pass-first point guard than Caleb Love is. What they've done is they've taken the ball out of Caleb Love's hands. They've given it to R.J. Davis. They've let him go to work, and then he's created opportunities. This North Carolina team is playing so well, and they're finally starting to defend a little bit. I worry a little bit this last St. Peter's game because the talent discrepancy was so big that did they fall into old habits, because Caleb Love turned into Caleb Love where he's going 6 for 20 again. I wonder how that's going to carry over here in New Orleans at the Caesars Superdome.
When earlier in the season, the knock on Armando Bacot was that he was a little soft down low. Is that part of that development and playing together? Because the last few games, he hadn't looked soft down low to me at all.
Well, if that was the case, it is no longer the case, because that guy, what is he averaging, 20 and 14 over the course of this tournament? The guy boards, and he does get a little bit chippy, and that might have been a result of, hey, they're calling me soft. I'm going to go a little extra. I'm going to do a little extra, whether it be holding a little bit on a box out, whether it be jumping out extra hard on some of these screen and roll situations on defense and being a little extra physical. I didn't know that was a thing of Armando Bacot being soft, because I don't think that you can be considered soft if you're averaging double-digit rebounds. I voted for Alondas Williams to be ACC Player of the Year because I thought he deserved it, because he was 1 point short of leading the conference in scoring, and he led the conference in assists. But Armando Bacot, man, he's made me change my mind. I wish I could retroactively go back and change it, because, man, he has been terrific. He's been the constant for that team. When there's been a lot of flux, a lot of going up and down in performance and shooting and defense, you knew what you were going to get out of Armando Bacot. Soft is no longer the issue with that young man.
Terrence, is Villanova, or should they be considered a blue blood now?
I mean, tell me, I think the blue bloods want to be Villanova.
Yeah, fair. Fair enough.
I think so. So in my mind, there's no question that Villanova is a blue blood. You make 3 Final Fours in a span of 6 years, and you continue to do it at a high level, and like they're too good not to be considered as such. And what Jay Wright's done is second to nobody in the country. Scott Drew's up there. Jay Wright's up there. I would consider those guys at the very top of today's coaching, whatever order. I would throw Bill Self in that mess. So you got 2 in the Big 12, and then I would throw Jay Wright in there. They're consistency level guys, and it doesn't matter. It's how they perform. It's not just how they look. It's how they act. It's how they communicate. It's their team effort every game. They never waver. It's unbelievable. A lot of people call it boring. If you're a hoop head like me, it's fascinating, because I've never seen a team, guys, and you guys, you can elaborate if you've ever heard of one, but anytime they get irritated at a call and they don't agree with it, they don't argue with the refs. They don't look over at Jay Wright. They just start clapping their hands. They are so mentally above any duress, it seems like, throughout the season, throughout the Big East tournament, throughout this tournament, that even if they get down 10 or 12 points, you can just count on them to keep fighting back. Now, the injury of Justin Moore is going to hurt them, but Villanova's terrific. And it just seems like one of those games that Jay Wright just figures it out. Now, I know he's going up against Bill Self, one of the best to do it. But at the same time, Villanova is still Villanova. So it's going to be interesting to see.
And when Baylor wrecked everybody last year in that tournament, Villanova had them a little bit wobbly in that game at Butler Fieldhouse. And of course, they did that without Gillespie, and then Davion Mitchell and company had a feeding frenzy on turnovers. So who even knows what they might have done last year? And that is by no means to take away how great Baylor was a year ago.
No, Baylor, last year's Baylor team, I think if there wasn't that COVID pause, you're probably looking at the greatest college basketball season of all time, because I don't think they lose. And I think they physically overwhelm people. Last year's Baylor team moved the ball a lot better than this year's Baylor basketball team.
No kidding.
Because Davion Mitchell and Jared Butler, they could just get rid of it, and they were so fast at getting into the lane and pitching out. And then everybody else kind of benefited because you had a bunch of guys that were good playing off the catch. Matthew Meyer was good playing off the catch. Cryer, Flagler, they were better players playing off the catch. Now this year you had Matthew Meyer trying to create a little bit too much because you were injury depleted at the guard spot, so you needed him to do more. But last year's Baylor team was fantastic. And to go along with what you're saying, a healthy Colin Gillespie helps Villanova not turn the ball over. But at the same time, I don't see anybody, anywhere, anytime during any portion of last season that beat your Baylor Bears.
All right, I'm going to ask you this. 3 coaches. I mean, Hubert Davis is in his first year as head coach, so we can kind of take him out of this, but because he's not near to the same level as the other guys. But if you have a week to plan and you're going up against Jay Wright, Bill Self, or Coach K, which coach would you rather face with a week to plan against you?
Who would I prefer to play out of those 3?
Yeah.
Coach K. Because you know what you're going to go up against.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he doesn't vary a lot. What you're going up against with Duke is you're going up against a team with superior talent. But from a coaching perspective, Bill Self will have a wrinkle or 2. Mm-hmm. Villanova will have a wrinkle or 2. Coach K, he knows what he's got. Paolo Banchero is probably the best player in the country. Just point blank period, probably the best player in the country. They're going to get it to him. They're going to open up some isolation lanes. You're going to have to flood to the basketball and hope that and pray they don't hit threes. That's why I would pick those 2. I think Bill Self is a nightmare to try to prepare for because I don't think there's any coach better in the country at getting post feeds. Even though David McCormick has been wildly inconsistent, I think Bill Self just finds ways to get post touches and finds ways to get his guys open shots. His best 2 players, Christian Brown and Ochai Agbaji, they have a hard time creating for themselves. And Abaji's gotten better at it. But at the same time, in order to have those guys performing at a high level, you got to set them up. That's a big credit to Bill Self. Jay Wright, forget it, kind of the same thing. It's going to be interesting to see. But I think for what you guys are asking, I'd want to play Coach K. But that being said, I also think Duke's going to win the next 2 games. So just from a coaching perspective, I feel like I would play against Duke because I knew exactly what I'd be going against.
Terrence Jerome Tang now at Kansas State. He joined us yesterday. Today, Baylor announced that they were promoting Alvin Brooks III and also John Jacobs, associate head coach. Jared Nunez is promoted, but also Tweety Carter is now a part of that staff and player development. You played overseas quite a bit, and he's made a living doing that as well. Your thoughts about bringing back a legend like that to join them with what he means to any staff?
Well, I think the big thing is because I spent a couple of years on Clemson staff whenever I got finished playing, and Tweety Carter was a better player than me. Let's put that out there. But I spent 7-8 years overseas, just being able to have that hands-on experience and have somebody come in and be like, "Hey, this is why I did or didn't make this team. This is what got me cut. This is what I need to get better at." And trust me, I've been there. I think is a healthy thing for players. And Tweety Carter, he was a great player. He was a great player and during his time in college and spent a long time overseas and made a good amount of money there. I think that's an excellent hire. I think it's great to have somebody like that in an off-court role. Clemson has the same thing right now with a young man or a guy named Terrell McIntyre, who's an Italian legend. He can't walk the streets of Italy. We found that out when we had to travel abroad. It's good. It's healthy. And because not everybody's going to play in the NBA, but Baylor has a bunch of guys that are going to, including a young man coming in next year named Keontae George, by the way. You guys are going to love that young man. But going back to Tweety Carter, I'm so happy that they decided to go that route because that hands-on experience that actually I was there and I'm still fairly young. Now I say that now me and Tweety played we graduated 2011. So we're not that young, but I think young enough to relate, I think is a good move. But Scott Drew, he knows what he's doing, man. Like I said, one of the best in the country. And obviously your staff has to be a big part of that. And I think that was a good hire.
So have you seen a bit of Keontae George? I'm assuming.
Love the kid.
Okay.
Love the kid. He's got it on a string. He can really handle the ball. He's an excellent shooter. He's got I'm not allowed to curse, but he's got a little stuff to him, and he can really he's a really high level competitor, and he never seems to get rattled. And I would have had him in the top 3 in the country if I were to rank him myself, because he was just so impressive because of his body size, his explosion with the basketball, his ability to get off the floor around the rim. You guys are really going to enjoy him because he's going to be able to get wherever he wants on the court. And he's going to be not Davion Mitchell because he's a lot younger and he's going to have stuff to learn, but he is a really talented young man.
Terrence, thank you, man. Great to have you on.
Stuff.
We really appreciate the insight. Well, and tell you that stuff with that show with Jeff. And I don't know how you put up with Jeff and Rob at the same time, but
it's hard. Those guys,
is.
Man, you got to really brace for it every day.
Yeah. Continue the great work. Thanks for your time. We appreciate the insight.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's Terrence Oglesby. He played at Clemson. And his thoughts. How about the compliments and thoughts about Drew, last year's Baylor team? Also, Keontae George, who Alvin Brooks brought up with us, and how dynamic he is. And a bowl full of everything when it comes to college basketball on the weekend of Duke, North Carolina, and also Villanova, Kansas. So.
Yeah, I mean, the college basketball news, I mean, the season's not over yet, so the news continues on, and didn't want to, drag that out, or not drag out, but, I wanted to let him have his time. We had him on for a good chunk of time, but next time we get him or someone else from the Field of 68 on, definitely be interesting to see where Shaheen Holloway is at that point, whether or not he's at Seton Hall. But that was one of the things that kind of had on the list. But there was a lot of good stuff to digest there, no doubt.
All right. When we come back, we'll have a nugget or two here in this 3 o'clock hour. 4 o'clock, of course, we'll have Mac Rhodes at 4:20. About to check out the YouTube chat room. Sometimes you enter knowing the risk. No, I'm kidding about that, but we'll come back with some of what you have to say as well from the chat room and the text line, 254-339-1122, Sikkim 365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Pepperoni Magnifico, one we've really enjoyed whenever we've had pizzas delivered to the studio here at 101 Elm. $9.99. Enjoy a large pepperoni Magnifico, and it's got, there's not a bit of any spacing that doesn't have a piece of pepperoni on it. You can order now. Use the code word PEPMAG. Unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. Also unlimited large two-topping pizzas for $8.99 each. And also specialty pizzas large. You get $3 off if you want to use the code SPECIAL3. Download their app. Get 25% off your first menu price order as well. Pizza is just a tap away. But also more than pizzas. They have pizza bowls, sandwiches, wings, salads, and more, plus soft drinks if you want. Bob Mock, the owner of 4 locations in Waco, China Spring Woodway, also in Robinson and Belmead, and the new one being built in Hewitt. It's pepperoni Magnifico. That's the go-to. We love it. And the all meat when it's delivered. It's Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At
Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube.
Mac Rhodes at 420. John Jacobs around the corner. One note, Jerome Tang has at least one of his staff members official, Jareem Dowling, assistant coach. I believe his son is on the Kansas State basketball team. And there were pictures of Coach Tang visiting the family. And so Jareem Dowling, D-O-W-L-I-N-G, has been officially announced as a part of the Kansas State men's basketball staff. So there's that, his first staff move as well. From Jennifer, Tweedy's interviews in Ode to Joy were some of the best. It was evidence how much Baylor meant to him. He and Karen Craig. Right, Paul? Would you say?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. He
Stars of that show in different ways.
But, yeah, I mean, for Tweedy to come back and coach at Baylor, I think it was inevitable that he was going to do that one day because he loves Baylor, he loves Waco, and he's getting to that point in his, life age-wise where, maybe a basketball season doesn't wash off as fast. And it's time. I mean, he's going to be an excellent coach. And he's very much got the Scott Drew vibe. Like you heard Alvin Brooks say it, he's always smiling, he's always happy. We had him on. You were out, Smokey, with COVID. We had him on, and I called him and I said, "Hey, can you come on?" He's like, "Well, I'm overseas right now." So, "Well, don't worry about it." I mean, he's like, "No. It'll be midnight. I'll just be getting back from the game." I'm like, man, I mean, like he just does everything. And so if he puts that much effort into doing a 20-minute interview with us, I mean, just imagine what kind of effort he puts into the daily things when it comes to being a basketball coach and an off-court role, but a coach on that staff and recruiting and player development and those things. I think he's going to be fantastic.
By the way, on the Jerome, I agree. And one of the things Alvin mentioned is he's going to want to test guys out. Now he can't really do that as in the role he is in, but he that he's going to try to do that as well. By the way, the Jareem Dowling is been on the Grant McCaslin staff, the University of North Texas as well. So that's one of those stories. When we come back, John Jacobs, men's basketball coach at Baylor. We had Alvin Brooks III. He and John Jacobs promoted as associate head coaches on Scott Drew's staff with Jerome Tang now at Kansas State, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. Pioneer, Steel, and Pipe. If I just had a few seconds, and I have about a minute, but I'm just saying 1943. How many businesses do you know that have been in business and thrived no matter what's been going on for the last 10 years, 15 or 20 years, much less since 1943. It's absolutely amazing. What a story. What a success story. What a story of just consistency. When you have great product, that's great. Others do too. But when you really do mean customer service, when you've been in business that long, you know customer service is not just something to say to make people think you care. They do care. If you've been there, you know it. You feel like you're the only one there, and you know that there are others looking around with what they have with pipe, steel, and metal, and they're building that massive facility in Waco. 1943 locations in Waco and Bryant. Open Saturdays from 8 until noon if you can't get there during the week. And because of what they have, it's big, bulky, and heavy. They will deliver it to wherever you need, commercial or real estate, and also unload it for you because they are amazing. Since 1943, pioneerboys.com.
At Allen Samuels, come see the Wagoneer Series 2 and 3 with 2.9% for 72 months, plus $1,500 in bonus cash. For all first responders, get an extra $500. Shop this incredible vehicle that gives you performance, style, perfect for your family, and reliability your family deserves today from Allen Samuels in Waco. Come shop our huge inventory at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
You know what would make this moment better? Pizza. Dough made from scratch and an Italian family sauce recipe pizza. 3 fresh signature cheeses making a melty blanket of perfection pizza. Like loads of premium toppings like crispy Old World pepperoni, savory Italian sausage, and fresh sliced veggies pizza. That's Marco's Pizza. Visit marcos.com and make any moment better. And with 4 locations in Waco, Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott & White, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrapped fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
On 2nd and 10, all day to throw it. Well, not quite all day, maybe one play. Doyle doing it on both ends, on both sides of the football. This will be from...
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We start this 4 o'clock hour very similar to what we did to start the 3 o'clock hour, joined by associate head coach at Baylor men's basketball, John Jacobs, on Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. What does that mean? First time you've heard it? We just mentioned it. Anything different for you?
One, thanks for having me, and two, I appreciate you talking about all the great stuff that happened with our staff today. And it's nice to be called associate head coach. I'm thankful for that and thankful for the way Scott supported me. But I think it's better because the title comes with my friend Alvin, and just doing it together means a bunch. And then Coach Nunes is one of my best friends in all of life. Obviously been a big part of the Drew family. He played for Homer, and for 20 years he's helped that family and served them. So to see him successful is even better than any title I could have. And then let's be honest, maybe the coolest thing about today is that Tweety Carter is a full-time Baylor Bear again. And, I would put myself last on that list. There's too many other blessings that happened today. But it certainly means a lot. But more than anything, it just means our culture of joy is in a great spot. None of us left. And we're going to stay together and just had a great guy in Tweety.
Let's talk about Tweety. I asked Alvin about him, and Alvin said that he's going to be enthusiastic, a great guy to have around, a great guy to have around players. And I don't know if I've ever met anybody who's as enthusiastically dedicated to everything he does like Tweety. So it seems to me that he's going to be a great coach almost right away.
Yeah. Well, first off, if you're a point guard, you're a coach on the floor. So he's been coaching 8th grade. He scored 7,000 points in high school. And he was so bored with junior high, he just skipped junior high basketball and went straight to high school basketball. So in some ways, he's been coaching for 2 decades. But more importantly than that, I just think nowadays it's so important to re-recruit your own guys. And so you need guys on staff that understand what it means to love Baylor. But you also need smilers because, everybody wants things so fast and it's hard to stay unified and together and positive. And you're adding one of the most positive people, not just in the history of Baylor basketball, but just in general that I've ever met. And I think Scott's done a great job over his career with hiring, and I think he hit it out of the ballpark with Tweety.
John, I asked Alvin this, but what was it like to learn the news? How did Scott get a hold of you? Was it a phone call in person? And just kind of what was your reaction initially?
Yeah, Scott gave me a call and told me about it, and I said, Coach, that's great. Thank you for the honor, but I want to do this with Alvin Brooks. I won't do it unless he does it. And I actually know for a fact when he called Alvin did the same exact thing. He said, I'd love to do it, but I'll only do it if John does it. So I think, you're only as good as the whole, and promotions are great, but you're still as solid as the group is solid. And I think the fact that Alvin and I both put the other one first in those moments is a good sign of why we've been really good the last couple years. And I'm thankful that Scott gave me that call, but it's a really, really special thing to me to do it with my friend, Alvin Brooks, in this season and this time.
You said Jared Nunez has been a friend for life, and you've known him a long time. In fact, he's been on that staff for longer than I guess everybody. Now that Jerome is gone, do you have a favorite, or can you get down to just one favorite Jared Nunez story?
I think Jared, the number one thing I was thinking about Jared, besides the fact that he's just done a lot more than people understand behind the scenes. Even with recruiting, he played a big role in recruitment of Kendall Brown being from Minnesota. Freddie Gillespie's story doesn't start without Coach Nunes because Freddie's family friends with the Nunes family in Minnesota. So much of our success, even on the recruiting trail, is because of his long-term relationships. But thinking about being in Tweety's role and the role Jared just left, is that you're in charge of the Nike gear. So for like the last 13 years, every former player, every person that comes in our office, anybody who comes around wants free gear from Coach New. So I can tell you the number one thing he told Tweety is, I'm handing all the Nike gear to you, and now you can be Santa Claus. And just in general, you can't win in that role because there's just never enough gear to hand out for free. But besides that, I don't know that much of his role is going to change. He's just going to get a bigger opportunity to coach on the floor, which he's ready for, and he'll do a great job.
From the moment you got here, I'm sure you felt this with Coach Drew, but I mean, he is instantly making his coaches a family, and even guys come and go, he's retooling that. What's that like to step into day one and then comparing it to now? Does it change that much, or is it something you kind of feel growing as you go?
No, I think from the beginning you feel there's this legacy of responsibility. And because they kind of built this thing up after such a trial period and, a hard time in Baylor basketball history, from Coach Driscoll on, you're kind of stepping into this family. And Coach Driscoll obviously moved on. Paul Mills moved on. Grant McCass moved on. Now Jerome has moved on. And the one thing you learn is you never root against your own coaching tree. And every one of their success is our success. And every time our team does well, it blesses everybody. And Coach is just really big on preaching the fact that you just don't ever mess around with your own coaching tree. And probably because his coaching tree started by working for his father, Homer, who's a Hall of Famer. And so when it goes from father to son, and then from son to Coach Driscoll, and then from Coach Driscoll all the way to us 20 years later, you're just stepping into almost like a legacy thing. And we're really proud to be part of that legacy. And today, it's a nice little step for my family and I. I'm not going to lie. We're thankful to Scott for giving us this opportunity. But the bigger thing is that our legacy and our family coaching tree has grown. And adding Tweety is the main thing. And we just want him to feel like this is the right thing and the best step for him. And I think he's thrilled, and we just can't wait to work together.
John, it's only been a couple of weeks, but have you had a moment to kind of sit back and reflect on this past season, or will that come here in the near future?
No, I think for about 5 straight days at 3 a.m, I woke up staring at the ceiling, reflecting on the season. For 2 years, you don't lose the last game because we were a 1 seed 3 years ago, and COVID took that tournament away. Then last year, we were a 1 seed, and we won the whole thing. So we haven't lost our last game 3 years. And the pain of losing your last game, you forget kind of what that feels like. It's brutal. And it's also kind of odd just because you're now dealing with this one and done thing with Jeremy and Kendall, and the season goes so fast, and you just want to kind of grab a hold of not only, the pain of the loss, but losing certain relationships and kids moving on. So it's been dramatic and fast, but more than anything, I think the main reflection is that we're thankful to cut down another net, winning the Big 12 championship. We're really thankful that we think a couple of our guys will end up being first-round draft picks. And being a 1 seed means a bunch. But more than anything, it's still hard to get over the pain of seeing LJ and John and Langston not get to play this year. And you're just feeling the weight of so many emotions at once. And we'll come out of that in the next couple of days with a plan for next year, and we're already building towards that. So, yeah, that first week after the loss is hard on you emotionally, but we've rebounded and we're in a good spot.
You obviously had people who signed with the class of 2022, and one of them is at the McDonald's All-American game. We asked Alvin about Keontae George. He won the three-point contest. But how much right now is just the focus on recruiting your own roster with so many guys who have decisions to make, and how easy it now is to come and go? Is that something you feel pretty good about where you are?
Yeah, we feel amazing about it. I think we're one of the best high major programs in the country and not losing kids to the transfer portal. We're going to remain being that as a staff, I believe. And then not just that, I think it's not just keeping your own kids, but now more than ever with NIL and the transfer market and the portal, you win and lose championships in April. And we need to be good general managers right now. We need to serve Scott really well. We need to think about how we can best have the best team back. But you kind of used to build this thing in the summer with high school kids, and now you're having to do it with high school kids, transfers, and then keeping your own. And April's one of the hardest working months. You're never not on your phone as an assistant. But winning and losing comes down to how you handle this month. So we're going to be excellent over the next 4 weeks, and I think we'll be really thrilled with what the team is and who's coming back by the end of this month.
What does it say that you have the kind of players, the level that they are, that they have decisions to make about moving on to pro basketball, if in fact they do?
Well, one, it means we're winning. 80% of the guys drafted in the NBA still play in the NCAA tournament, and they still come from winning teams. So you don't have guys coming off your bench like Jeremy Sohan in a top 15 situation in this upcoming draft if you don't win. You don't get 2, 3, 4 guys drafted if you're not winning at an incredibly high level. So the first thing it says is, as a whole, even in spite of all the injuries we went through, we still won. And then the second thing is just that, we've ended up with high character kids that know their roles and have NBA upside. And we just needed to keep doing a good job of finding those kinds of kids. And those kinds of kids already exist on our team. And just like people didn't see it until it happened with a couple people over the last few years, there's guys on our team right now, when they play basketball next year, people will be blown away at how good they are. So I think we do it by who we bring in through recruiting, but we also do it by our player development internally. And we're going to have a really good summer with our player development. So there'll be some surprises, and some of them will be the freshmen, because they're excellent players. But some of them are already on our team, and that's what we need to do right now is to love the guys we got.
With Kendall, the kind of basketball world, when he signed with you guys, thought that he could possibly be one and done. Jeremy, since he's international, maybe people didn't know, but did you guys kind of have a feeling from the beginning that he would have that potential, or is it something that you saw, like the rest of the world did, maybe around the Kansas game, of holy cow, this kid can play?
Yeah, I was part of the recruitment process with him, so I watched him since he was 16 years old, and I always got the sense that he was an NBA player. And then he played in prep school in Indiana as a junior. And then because of COVID, had to go back to Europe and played his senior year in Germany. And while he was floating around in Germany and no one could see him because the world was shut down with COVID, he grew 3 inches. And when you go from 6'6" to 6'9", but you maintain those same wing skills that helped him be the MVP of, FIBA under 16, now you're in a whole new class with this whole new upside. And then you add the fact that Kendall and Jeremy aren't even 19 yet. They don't even turn 19 basically for the first week of June. They're just really special, unique kids. And they've been given certain advantages by God that the rest of us don't have. And I think you'd have to be blind not to notice that. But more than anything, probably the thing we're most proud of is who they are as people. And we want them to be adults and loving people, and they're that. So they're ready for the NBA. It'll be an adjustment for them, obviously, because of their age. But I think for a while we knew Jeremy was going to be an NBA player. This fast, I don't know, but we knew it was coming.
John, can you give us a scouting report on Keontae George, who we're going to see later on tonight in the McDonald's All-American game?
Yeah, 6'4", 6'5", can get anywhere he wants on the floor, shoots 40% from 3. People expect him to be a first-round draft pick. We know that we've got to do a good job with him, but the thing you're going to really learn about him and the people in his life, from his mother on through the family, is that they're really good Baylor people and that they love it here. And he had tons of options in his life. He could have gone a number of different directions, and he chose to stay in Texas, close to home, make family a priority. And who he is like a really solid kid. And just like Jeremy and Kendall probably shocked everybody, you're going to get shocked when Langston gets healthy, but you're going to realize how much a Baylor kid Keontae is. So the NBA stuff and all the comparison, people don't make that up. Okay, he's that good as a player, but he's that good as a person also, and we just can't wait to hang out with him every day because we know that he's as good a person as he's a player.
This might be a better question for Scott, but I'm not trying to put you on the spot. But do you know that some have already made their decision to move on to the NBA?
Oh, I think there's probably one or two that are thinking that way. But I'm not sure it's my job. They need to declare. They need to make their announcements. They need to, do their own tweets and videos. There's a whole thing that goes into the world now on social media, and I'm probably the least social media savvy guy on our staff besides our old veteran Coach Peterson. But we need to let the kids do their process. So it's not even about keeping secrets. I just think it's about letting these young kids sit with their family, think through it. And then there's this celebration. Everybody's celebrating Tweety today. They're celebrating Coach New's promotion today. I just think they deserve that celebration. So we're going to let them tell the world when they're ready what their decision is.
You mentioned what Langston Love can be, and obviously incoming Keontae George and all the others. How good and how much would it help with what LJ could bring to the table based on his health? He's had the surgery. He mentioned that this week, and the possibility he's back as well.
Yeah, LJ Cryer is one of my favorite people in the world, and he shot 47% from three, and he was our leading scorer. And I don't think anybody in the Baylor Bear community has forgotten that about him, but maybe some people on the outside have. And there's this leap that Davion and Jared made in their third year at Baylor, and they went from NBA prospects to this new stratosphere. And a healthy LJ Cryer in his third year at Baylor is going to make the same leap. And so for us, we're just praying for his recovery. And if we get that recovery, we're confident that he's going to make that jump. And we're super excited about his future. But more than anything, we just need him physically healthy. So that's what we're waiting on.
When Jerome Tang got the job at Kansas State, one of the first things you worry about is attrition. And for you and Alvin and Jared and others to now remain on staff says everything. And not that there weren't opportunities. Alvin was you. Others have had opportunities, but it really is a huge win. A huge win, John. Don't you think that everyone is staying intact?
Yeah. Scott Drew's been a good recruiter since a long, long time ago. And if people question in this moment if he wasn't going to pursue us with some fervency, they were questioning the wrong guy. And the truth is that more than ever, because of his success, he can really recruit not just staff, but players from a position of like joy and love and success. And that's what he did. He treated everybody so kindly in the last 2 weeks with such confidence. He knows exactly the kind of program he wants, how he wants it to look and feel and sound. And he's getting into this Hall of Fame, territory of his career. And when he comes in your office and he asks for help, you just want to do it. And a lot of us could have gone other places. We get different opportunities every year thrown our way. But the chance to stay here and continue to do it as a family, I think, was a wonderful thing. And when AB and I talked together about, taking the next step, it really was just about maintaining the culture that already exists. It's not even about us. It's about the bigger picture. So we're just here to serve, and Scott did a great job, and I can tell you didn't lose any recruiting battles. And that just said something about Scott Drew as a leader.
Thank you, John. Appreciate your time as always. Always a fantastic segment in so many ways. John Jacobs, associate head coach at Baylor men's basketball, and we'll have Jared Nunez on. Find out if he's got any more of that Nike gear left. He could throw it into the studio if he wanted to. Tweety Carter tomorrow at 3:15. Mack Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics, is next. Sikkim, 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, got a lot of great deals going on right now at Richard Carr. Got the summer savings event, and got a lot of great deals on not only new, but also pre-owned vehicles as well. And if you want to get into a car as fast as possible, you need to get on the inbound vehicle list right now. Get on that inbound vehicle list and tell them what you're looking for and what you'd like, and they will get you into that vehicle as soon as possible. March means 23 years for the people at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. And in those 23 years, they've sold the best cars and trucks on the road. And like Richard Carr, They are loving being able to offer you first-class vehicles that you can trust. Richard Carr wants to thank Waco and Central Texas for their support over the years and looks forward to many more in the years to come. So right now, new GMC trucks, GMC, Buick, Cadillac SUVs are all coming. Get on that inbound vehicle list so you can get your new car or truck as they arrive. And for qualified buyers, you can buy a truck now and get 0% financing for 72 months on most GMC vehicles and Buick SUVs. And as summer vacation season approaches, remember Richard Carr's 11 SUV models to choose from with dozens of trim options. They are a one-stop shop to find that perfect SUV for your needs, starting at $24K. So call now, come by now, or go online to find the perfect SUV for your family this summer. They're also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks as well. It's anniversary month at Richard Carr. Trust the good local people you can count on for 23 years in Central Texas. Proud Wacoans, proud Baylor Bears. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive. It's a staple of the Waco economy. And you're about to approach this time of the year where you have the holidays, special gifts. It's not that you don't have that every single day. What are some of the things you have coming up?
You know, we kind of call ourselves the wedding ring store. We do all of our own custom work in-house. I've got 2 expert jewelers on staff every day. We can make anything from scratch. We kind of pride ourselves, probably 9 out of 10 every engagement ring we do is actually made custom to what the customer wants.
People look at that, oh my God, I can't afford it. I can't afford something like that. You've shown me examples that you could fit pretty much any budget.
It doesn't cost any more to custom make something. You still have gold, you still have diamonds, and you still have labor. Best thing about a custom piece is if you have any old jewelry or heirloom jewelry or something passed down from a grandma or somebody, we can take that jewelry and use it towards your wedding ring for the sentimental value, and then you've got the product, and then it's just a little bit of labor and a little bit of design on your part of what you actually want.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhodes is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Back here this 4 o'clock hour, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, David Smoak. Also, Armstrong Sims runs the mothership. We have full throttle at Baylor practice today. Colt Barber, Grayson Grundhafer, Brian Etheridge, and Jack McKenzie are there. And, of course, they work out throughout the afternoon media session a little bit after 6. We're now joined by Baylor's Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, Sikkim 365 Radio, with his weekly segment. We always appreciate the time. Mac, when Jerome Tang took the job at Kansas State, one of the things I thought about, one, thrilled for him. The opportunity's there, it's been there, but this one here was how in the world can you keep that staff together, because sometimes the staff can get raided. Your thoughts about what Scott Drew has done officially today with Jared Nunez and Alvin Brooks and John Jacobs, and also adding Tweety Carter to the future staff as well?
Well, good afternoon to everybody. Happy Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. It's a great day for Baylor, and happy for Scott and excited about, keeping the staff together, and then, adding a family member, a former player, and Tweety Carter to the staff. But I'll start with both Alvin and John, and obviously they have been such an integral part of our success, particularly I believe the past 5 years, and they've had their fingerprints, their handprints all over it, and I just I think it was great of Scott to promote them and give them and put them into position, both of them as associate head coaches. And, quite frankly, those two, had schools come after them, and we were able to hang on to them. And I think, it starts with Scott, and he creates a great working environment, and people want to work for him, work with him. And, it comes down to truly that culture of joy. So, thrilled for both of them, for Alvin and Tiffany and John and Sarah. And then, I feel like Jared Nunez, what position hasn't he been on our staff? And, I've been blessed, as you all know, to be really close to the program, and the way he connects with our players is special. And, I think obviously losing Jerome, those are big shoes to fill. But I think Jared's going to come in and we won't skip a beat. Our players' familiarity with him, the staff's familiarity, and he's ready. He's prepared to take on that role, and I think he's going to be great, in recruiting, but also on the floor. And then finally. Tweety Carter, who doesn't like Tweety Carter? And I mean that. I've gotten a couple texts from people on this campus in the academic area, and have just texted about how proud they are and how happy that he's returning after a 12-year career in professional basketball. And I know Scott, when all of the dominoes fell, there was not any one other person that he wanted in that player development spot other than Tweety. And so just excited for him and Brittany and their 4 children. And so I think Baylor basketball is in great hands and in a great place moving forward.
Yeah, Mac, there are spies that have been to less places than Tweety Carter has. So I'm sure he's thrilled to get back home because I think he told us he was been through 4 passports of stamps in his basketball career. How much easier is it for you as an athletic director when you have a coach like Jerome Tang, who's very deserving and very ready to be a head coach, that leaves and you have a staff that has to replace him, that the head coach can just go, okay, everybody kind of step this direction, this is what we're going to do, and move on, and you don't have this very exhaustive, long interview processes?
Yeah, it certainly, helps in terms of uncertainty and transition with your current roster, with prospective recruits. I think it takes away stress from the entire staff in terms of the unknown. And again, I've got such great faith and trust in Scott, and he takes it very, very serious in terms of who we're going to bring into the family and making sure it's a culture of joy fit, and it's a fit with Baylor University and Baylor athletics. And the fact that you had somebody just of such high quality like Tweety Carter out there that knows our program. And I think what's so special about that, he can really speak to our young men about the value of Baylor University, about the value of academics, because he's been here, he's lived it, and he's played for Scott. And so again, as far as an athletic director, Scott and the way he handled all of this certainly makes my job a lot easier.
Mac, last week Dave Aranda was talking about his quarterback competition, and he mentioned both Blake Shapen and also Gary Bohannon going through these leadership courses. And one of our interns who's on the volleyball team, she was telling us about the opportunity that athletes can have to undergo these leadership courses. Do you have any insight on that? Could you tell us more about that and its involvement with Baylor athletics?
Yeah, so I think we've talked about our 4 pillars, and one of them is character formation, and we have 5 areas within our character formation programming, and we call that programming Baylor Built, and or Baylor Built Plus now, because we've added a bunch of elements in terms of name, image, and likeness. But that is one of the 5 areas of focus is leadership, and so we do leadership training with our student athletes, and Corey Pinkett and that group does such an unbelievable job of leading our student athletes, through that and challenging them and teaching them, and so it's been a really successful program for us. And again, it's just one of the 5 areas. We focus on social responsibility and what we would call personal skills and community engagement, and then also job and job placement, career development. And so those are those 5 areas, and the leadership piece has been really, really important for us as an athletic department, and I think our student athletes really, really do value it.
Mac, there have been stories in the last week or two, and including today, Nicole Auerbach, theathletic.com, on forecasting the revenue among the Power Fives and what the SEC, of course, they have the new deal with ESPN and no longer CBS in 2024, and forecasting. This is not breaking news, but some of the numbers could be 2-to-1 as far as per team revenue. How sustainable is that? And do you feel like it may be that much of a margin of a gap between the Big Ten, SEC, and the rest?
Yeah, that's a really, really interesting question, and I appreciate the question, and obviously I've received some text messages, and just from people, quite frankly, that are worried, and there's no doubt that the SEC and the Big Ten are very well positioned as you think about TV revenues in the future, and the Big Ten will go to market in 2023. And, there's an expectation that will be a very lucrative television agreement, part of their overall television package. Right now the Big 12 is third, and I think that's going to be really, really important in terms of the future, and the Big 12 trying to remain in that third spot. Now, quite frankly, all of the forecasting doesn't take into some things that can happen, when you think about the Big 12 and its TV contract expiring in 2025, the Pac-12 in 2024. All of this is done, I think, with the assumption that there's still only going to be two primary linear partners in the field, meaning ESPN and Fox. And, I think we need to be hopeful, and, at least the people that I talk to believe that there will be some other players in that space. I think you're starting to see, Amazon and Apple TV gain some momentum. And so what does that mean for the Big 12, and how can we potentially capitalize on that? And so, again, I think we've got to be careful about the forecasting, but I think it's a really good warning sign. And, if we truly get to a place where there's that gap, and it's the SEC and the Big Ten and the other three, what does that mean in terms of competitive balance? There's still, only 85, scholarship spots on a football program. That doesn't mean that they're getting any more. There's still only, 15 on women's basketball, 13 men's basketball. There's still a way to be competitive. Do we get into a situation where they're paying head coaches $15 million per year and we can't? That's fine. I'll say this, and I understand and realize it's a really bold statement. Baylor will still be relevant. We will find a way to be relevant, and we will find a way to compete and be relevant nationally. And hey, that may be our challenge. And how do we do that, given we don't have the bank account that the other schools do? And I think it's well known now, what we do with our budget. I think, as compared to some other institutions, it's 50% less. And, we're finding a way, because we've got great people to be competitive, and that's not going to change.
Mac, what are your feelings on the Senate, introducing a bill that would seek due process limits to the NCAA investigations and make it so these things don't drag out for 5 and 6 years?
Yeah, and so, Paul, I have not had an opportunity to read much about it, but I think it's interesting, and I think it's just a source of frustration. And I think when everybody gets frustrated, right, and they, so to speak, have had enough, they look for a solution. And, here's what I think we all know and understand, that the process that's in place right now needs to be, tweaked, overhauled, however you see it through your lens, but it's taking way too long. And then by the time there's any type of enforcement, is it really relevant still? You've got, student athletes now on your campus that were, freshmen in high school. In our case, they were in junior high when some of the stuff happened. And so it needs to be revamped. It needs to be looked at. I know that the transformation committee of the NCAA is going to pay special attention to that. Now, how does that intersect with any type of federal law, federal bill? I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how people to react to to the introduction of this particular bill.
Mac, you mentioned NIL earlier today. The athletic department announcing the licensing agreement with the Brander Group for Baylor student athletes and name, image, likeness pursuit, where it can profit off their name and all of that stuff. More details on your end, and just kind of just your idea behind, or everybody's idea behind this, and how much it's going to help in terms of NIL and Baylor student athletes.
Well, it's something that we've been working on, and again, we've been, there's been some places and spaces in the name, image, and likeness world where we have literally put our foot to the gas pedal and floored it and tried to be, really, really quick, and then there's been some areas and spaces where we've deliberately let some people take the lead and wanting to learn and see how well that's worked and what are some of the lessons learned. And I think the team branding and this particular deal is one that we let play out a little bit, and one really tried to get the very best agreement that we could, not for Baylor but for our student athletes. That was really, really important. And I think what you like about this is it gives the opportunity for it to touch and enhance all of our student athletes, and not just any one single student athlete. So we're excited about it, and we'll certainly ask our fans to be out there and ordering jerseys with our student athlete's name on it.
I know we're up against time. Men's tennis beat number 1 TCU. They, of course, ranked in the top 10, Baylor. And then how about your men's track and field program coming out, I think, rated number 2 in the country at this particular time early on as well? Yeah, no, they're, as you mentioned, they're ranked number 2. Our women are number 11. In the country as well when we think about outdoor. So excited for Coach Ford, and he's working hard. So is that staff, and just appreciate them. And again, you mentioned tennis and Coach Woodson doing a great job. That was a big time win at TCU, and so. They open Big 12 play in Austin against UT this Friday, and then come back and host TCU on Sunday. So there's some great tennis ahead in terms of men's tennis, and all of our spring sports. I'm proud of equestrian headed to the nationals, and they'll face off against Texas A&M in the quarterfinals. And so a lot of great stuff. Pro day tomorrow, football, baseball tonight, baseball this weekend, softball tonight. So just a lot happening. Thank you, Mac. Appreciate your time. Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, Tuesdays with us on many different things, including today's coaching changes, the staff, the promotions, and also additions to Scott Drew and his Baylor men's staff. We've now heard it. It's pretty clear. Don't ever underestimate the power or passion of Scott Drew when he wants to recruit you. And John Jacobs, Alvin Brooks have both said that, and so did Mac Rhodes. 444, Craig and Off the Radar. Next on Sick on 365 Radio. Stonewood Dental, Waco, general and cosmetic dental help, surgery, maintenance, whatever you need, family dentistry, smile makeover, sedation dentistry, dental implants, and also different relief that you have. I've mentioned the stories. I've had a top left and bottom right molar that just, man, all of a sudden I bit into something and it was like it shook me to the core, and Dr. Steve Childress took care of it for me. Even during a time in which he would normally not be at the dentist office, he took care of once on a Friday evening for me. And then early on a Friday morning, he actually helped me get in after I just walked in because I was in so much pain, and actually said, You could have even texted me the night before, and I would have been here even earlier to help get you some pain relief. He is amazing. And this guy also knows what he's doing when it comes to dentistry. Whatever you need, whether it's implants or just maybe a root canal, anything in between. I've never been to a place that when I was in the dentist chair, I felt more comfortable that pain would go away and not more come. That's what he does. It's amazing how he can talk you through whatever it is and make sure you feel better and your smile better when you walk away. Dr. Steve Childress, an amazing staff at Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, family-owned and operated must-visit pizza place in Waco. Fantastic pizza by the slice or get the whole pie to share. Great happy hour specials every single day, and it's not just pizza. Great wings. You have to try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, pizza pillows, and more. Dine in for a great hangout or carry-out. Order online at shortyspizzashack.com or do yourself a favor and bring your crew to the restaurant at 12th and Bagby. Shorty's Pizza Shack. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio with socially distanced seating for your enjoyment. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs and veggie burgers too. State Fair tornado fries, nachos, and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
Cars priced right both day and night at Richard Car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. At Richard Car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. At Richard Car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. At Richard Car in Waco, Texas.
It's plain and simple. Waco Custom Marketplace is the one-stop shop for what you need for tailgating, from charcoal, cold beer, and wine. And, of course, customize your order with brisket, tri-tip, sausage, wings, smoked pork tenderloin, country-style or pork spare ribs, marinated beef and chicken fajita meat, ground beef and chili, meat, hot dogs, and burgers, buns, seasoning, sauces, chips. There's fresh baked bread and kolaches every day, breakfast sausage links. And you can also customize your favorite cut of steaks from select, choice, or prime, bacon wrap fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, sirloin, T-bone, and porterhouse. Full service butcher shop includes pork, poultry, beef, chicken, and seafood, serving Waco restaurants and families since 1940. Your one-stop shop for beef, pork, poultry, and seafood needs. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar here on Sikkim 365 Radio, taking a look at some stories outside of college basketball, college football, and let's start off with Jerry Jones. We do talk a lot of Cowboys, but This is not something that we typically ask our Cowboys reporters. I mean, I know we don't go asking David Hellman too often about, all these extracurricular stories like Jerry Jones and his, allegation that he got a woman pregnant and had a kid and hush money and all this other stuff that was going on. Well, this paternity suit was filed. A 25-year-old congressional aide has sparked a claim by Jones that it gets very common. There's like Alexandra Davis, and there's all these different people that are involved in it. But basically, Jerry's calling BS on this. But the girls actually come back out here today and said, no, it's not BS. But there's a whole thing having to do with a paternity lawsuit, and Don Van Natta's got a big report on it that Jones has accused Alexandra Davis in multiple monetary extortion attempts. Also accused Davis of delivering a draft of the complaint before filing it and asking whether he would like to make a deal that would keep the issue secret. So, as he points out, civil lawsuits, you try to make a deal before you go into the whole court system. So I don't know that would be really off limits or what have you. But there was also a March 10th letter sent by Cowboys lawyers to Shai Anderson, the former spouse of Charlotte Anderson, who is Jerry's daughter. Van Natta had this letter and instructs Anderson to preserve documents that would potentially prove a conspiracy among himself and others, potentially including some of his lawyers. Gets into the voyeurism scandal. And, basically this is just turning into a whole, like, he said, she said, they did. What do you think is going to happen with this? Do you think this just finally goes away, or do you think this is going to drag out and actually be a real problem for Jerry Jones?
Well, I don't think Jerry Jones in his life has things that don't go away if he really wants them to. So I'm sure he'll figure a way out of it, and people will forget. I mean, I point you to Robert Kraft getting twisted off in a massage parlor. Nobody really talks about that anymore. So I just did, but Jerry Jones, I mean, he'll come through this.
I'll never forget how you said that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but there's a whole thing about how the cheerleader scandal got popped off and the Anderson's involvement and all these lawyers. And basically, Alexandra Davis, her lawyer, provided a statement to Van Natta. I would challenge Jerry Jones to put up any evidence that anyone demanded any money, period. It's a shame that Jerry Jones wants to further damage his own daughter by now claiming she is extorting him. I challenge them to put up any evidence that supports either one of these defamatory and false claims. And Jones, talking about the lawsuit at the league meetings, just said it's a personal issue and would not have any further comment on it.
I'll say this. I don't know the truth, but I do know this, is that when Don Van Natta gets involved and then there's somebody else that's involved and there's another story today involved, he could be as powerful as you can want to be, and I think in the end he's probably pretty much Teflon, but there seems to be more little brush fires than just Rich Dalrymple.
Well, now you got Charlotte Anderson's ex-husband who's, extorting, according to Jones. And, that's how complicated we're now getting into this. Shai Anderson's becoming a character in this whole thing.
If you burn enough people with your power, and even if some of this isn't true, people can become very vindictive if they have the truth, and they can become vindictive if they just want to create problems.
Yeah, and I don't want to make a scene in any way. I'm letting Jerry off the hook if he's done anything. It's just, things work out for billionaires.
Yeah.
I mean, look, things work out for them.
Are they working out for Daniel Snyder?
And look, ultimately, the worst thing that's going to happen to Daniel Snyder is he's going to get to sell the Commanders for 3 times or 4 times what he paid for.
That would take every human male part out of Jerry Jones's body if he had to sell the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So don't just act like that's not a big deal. I understand he's still going to make millions, maybe billions. But for Jerry Jones to lose a friend, it would kill him. He would, yes, that's what I'm saying.
And this woman keeps saying that, it's not about money, that she just wants to be able to say publicly that she's Jerry Jones's daughter. And it's not about money, but obviously Jones and their side is alleging, no, it's about money.
Yeah, if he's right and she said, let's make a deal, then it is about money.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's all very confusing and just kind of a bizarre story that we were not expecting, obviously, when that dropped. And so we'll just kind of see how it continues to go from there. But, Jerry Jones and as the world turns, no doubt. All right, just a couple of NFL type of notes as we roll through here. Andy Dalton signs with the New Orleans Saints, 1-year, $3 million deal. He will be the backup to Jameis Winston.
And that means Taysom Hill will be what Taysom Hill should be, which is a utility player.
A Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it's a good move by the Saints.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, they got to have a solid backup, and the Taysom Hill thing, that's kind of I think we've seen that maximized. I don't know that we're going to get really more juice out of any more squeezes there. Baltimore Ravens have signed head coach John Harbaugh to a 3-year contract extension. He is, of course, at the NFL league meetings like everybody else right now, so there's a lot of announcements that are coming out of those. This will put him under contract through 2025, and they had an 8-9 season, not the best of Ravens seasons, but there's a lot of reasons to believe that they will be just fine. They are the Baltimore Ravens after all. I know they're one of the teams that Jalen Petrie has apparently set up a meeting with, but Harbaugh, 59 years old, was in the final year of a 4-year deal that he signed back in 2019. So new deal for John Harbaugh in Baltimore.
Best coach in the Harbaugh family. My opinion.
He's very solid.
And I think Jim Harbaugh is good too, but I think John Harbaugh consistent.
There's not a lot of drama around him.
No.
I mean, it doesn't mean they haven't had tough losses and there have not been meltdowns and big games, but that organization, you wish yours could run the way the Ravens run theirs and almost across the board.
So Hard Knocks, I don't know how many people out there still are avid viewers of that or not. Maybe when your team pops up on there, you're checking it out. But otherwise, I don't know how much of a casual audience they have of just people that constantly tune in. But it's been around for a while now, and the newest edition is whittling down the choices, and they've whittled it all down now. There was only 3 to begin with, only 3 teams that were eligible to be chosen, the New York Jets, Carolina Panthers, and Detroit Lions, and it will be the Detroit Lions on Hard Knocks this year. The team sending out a graphic earlier this morning. Hard Knocks training camp with the Detroit Lions coming your way this summer.
I think that'll be very interesting. I do. I mean, Dan Campbell is a character, Clifton, Texas native, by the way, Dan Campbell.
A&M Aggie?
Yeah, but he's going to be interesting to watch, and to me, it'll be interesting to watch the behind the scenes of a franchise that cannot get out of its own way.
Right?
I mean, they cannot, they are chasing their tail, stepping on their own, whatever you say, but they cannot get out of their own way.
Joe Buck, we know he's going off to the world of big money and ESPN and all that, leaving Fox Sports along with Troy Aikman. So Fox kind of has a little bit of a debacle on their hands. Like, who's our guy now? We don't have Joe and Troy anymore, and we know how much Joe Buck did over at Fox. So there's a lot of rumors going on in the sports media world about who's going to be filling in or replacing those guys. Andrew Marchand, he's one of the most locked in when it comes to sports media news. He is pointed towards Kevin Burkhardt, who would be an inside hire. He was the number 2 booth play-by-play man with Greg Olson serving as his color commentator. But according to Marchand, now Burkhardt will be named the number 1 voice on Fox's NFL games. According to the Post, Burkhardt and Fox are finalizing a new long-term contract, according to sources, that will make him the voice of the network's Super Bowl. So basically the number 2 booth is moving up to the number 1 booth with the departure of Joe and Troy Aikman.
I think I'd like to see them move Greg Olson up. I kind of enjoy Greg Olson. He's okay. I think maybe he may not be fully ready to be the number 1 guy, but you can try to play that game all you want. It's going to be tough to match everybody else. I'm very curious to see what they do on the World Series. Who is it? I've heard rumors of Joe Davis. Who
used to be Kansas? He used to be at Kansas? Joe Davis. You know him.
Yeah, I know Joe Davis.
Yeah.
He and I were on the same Baylor pregame show.
Yeah.
Our career, he's now taken over for Vin Scully. So again,
the Dodgers, right?
Our careers are on the same arc.
Yeah. Now with Marchand suggests that they could simply move up the number 2 booth. Burkhardt looks like he's going to be like that's going to happen. But with the Olsen spot, that's where it could get a little trickier, because if they stumble upon a name that's a bit bigger, that would suddenly be showing interest in color commentating, then, like if John Elway came out and said, like, hey, I want to, you know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody
I like
big,
Burkhardt. I do.
But I'm saying for Olsen's spot for color commentary, if they find somebody that's a bit more star power, perhaps, that he's suggesting that that's not a concrete thing, but Burkhardt is, and Olsen, if it all just stays chalk, then he will be alongside as a number 1 booth as well. So just a little bit of a sports media update there. Tiger Woods played a practice round at Augusta with his son as the Masters gets ready to get underway.
Cannot stop him
next week.
You cannot stop him. He doesn't need legs.
Go ahead, Craig. We're just having a moment here.
All right.
You having a moment?
Yeah, he was just playing around with the sun. Obviously suffered the big leg injuries in that car crash a year ago. And no idea on whether or not he's planning on trying to play in the Masters or not. But it would be the first time since February of 2021 if, in fact, he were to get out there on the course. But for right now, just playing with the sun and Augusta looming a little over a week away.
I don't know if I can sleep the rest of the next few days.
I'll be excited. If he tries to try out there and play, I mean, I don't think he's going to play his best round ever.
He's not going to do it and embarrass himself.
No,
he would never do that. But I would think even teeing off competitively again was something after the wreck and all of what you heard and what his legs went through, not to mention everything else. I never thought he would play again. And then, even after all of what he went through back in 08, 9, 10, 11, all that, never thought he would win another major. He won tournaments and then won the Masters. So he, just the fact he's there it's
awesome.
Is pretty awesome.
Just a couple more notes. Albert Pujols, this was yesterday, but signed a one-year deal with the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 42 years old, so old Pujols giving it at least one more season in Major League Baseball.
I'm about to be too, so does that mean I can retire? I don't have as much money as him.
Right?
But he said one more go with the Cardinals, his original team. I think that'll be a nice little farewell tour for him.
He was with the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I remember he came up with a couple of clutch moments. You could tell. I mean, it's you don't want to see him where you can't see Willie Mays catch a fly ball anymore.
Well, now with the universal DH,
he's not playing in the field.
No, I don't want to see.
I guarantee you, he didn't even bring a glove.
Right? Yeah. That dude ain't playing a whole lot of field.
He's not going to be a pinch runner, that's for sure.
No, I haven't seen all of the ratings releases from this past weekend, but I did want to mention St. Peter's and Purdue put up a really healthy number, highest rated Sweet 16 game since 2011, averaging 10.18 million viewers on CBS, which was a bit better than the 2014 matchup with Kentucky and Louisville that had 10.09 million viewers. First time 15 seeds ever reached the Elite Eight, and I was told that we only care about the Blue Bloods, and those are the ones with all the fans and nobody cares. But here was little old St. Peter's highest-rated Sweet 16 game in over 10 years. And all due respect to Purdue, I don't think that they were drawing that crowd all by themselves. So, I think there are a lot of people out there, no matter how much we keep pushing towards the haves and giving them the haves as much as possible and just, casting the have-nots to the side. Good to see the have-not does bring some attention. And, I just wish St. Peter's, we could have seen them go a little bit further. But it was clear that they had about reached their max there by the end.
The St. Peter's would have been like Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have seriously been the Jamaican bobsled team going to that Final Four.
That was, Baycott, what North Carolina did, they didn't score the first 4+ minutes. They did like 2 or 3 times of those stretches of not scoring, and there was men among boys, no question about it.
Yeah, so we'll see about all the other ratings. I'll maybe mention that on Thursday or something like that as more of that comes out and becomes finalized, because sometimes they put out the rough viewers and then there's like an addition later on. That's why I don't mention it as much, is because it's not as exact as it once was or as quick as it once was. But yeah, there's a few notes that are off the radar.
Very well done.
Oh, one more.
Tigers at Augusta.
Transfer portal announcement. Prince Pines, former Baylor offensive lineman, announced he is headed to Oklahoma State. Announced that last night. So
it's a mountain of a man.
Yeah, he's a very huge young man, and I know Matt Rule and them liked him when they got him. He was a bit rough, needed to like a piece of clay. You need to mold him a little bit, but. Good for him, staying in the Big 12 and headed to go play for the Cowboys.
He, among others, went to Sam Houston State. Eliezer Anderson, among others, went to and won his national championship. And now he's back in the Big 12. When we come back, he was promoted. Today, Alvin Brooks III and, of course, John Jacobs were promoted to associate head coaches together. Tweety Carter, a part of the player development staff. He'll join us tomorrow right off the top of the show. And by the way, Jared Nunez got a huge promotion as well, and he will join us next, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. But first, Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. And what they have is a 48-foot walk-in humidor loaded with the great brands of cigars from around the world, not just around the United States, the world, from Cohiba to Padron to Ashton to Macanudo to Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, my father. Cigars everywhere. Boxes and boxes of cigars. You can get one of this, one of that, a little bit of this, put it in one of those little plastic sleeves and walk out with 4 or 5, or get a box. And then, of course, what you put them in the humidor to light them, cut them with a cutter and lighter or torch lighters, they have those available if you need that as well. If you're looking for a unique gift and you know someone who smokes the cigars, they have them at Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans, plus Vita Dreams, a CBD product that allows you to fall asleep so much easier and also save that extra 30 or 45 minutes of tossing and turning. If you just can't fall asleep, this will help you out. It's Carol, Ashley, and Cheyenne. Tell them Smokey sent you in the Townwest Shopping Center, Don's Humidor, Valley Mills, in Waco.
Ram Truck Month is here, and it's all about the championship drive as our hometown teams march towards another exciting championship drive. And so can you in your new vehicle from Allen Samuels Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Waco. Shop for power, performance, and reliability with the brands that bring you what you want to drive. Come in today and see our selection of new 2022 trucks, SUVs, and cars. It's time to take home the trophy from Allen Samuels in Waco. Shop the huge inventory of new car and truck inventory in stock today.
Come by. Let's be friends.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco is a hidden gem. They've got a great selection of spirits, wine, and the most extensive selection of craft beer in Waco in their gorgeous walk-in fridge. And they have an amazing array of high-end bourbons like Pinhook, Weller, Buffalo Trace, Brush Creek, Hotel, Garrison Brothers, Thomas S. Moore, Hooten Young, and Bardstown. Great customer service and a convenient and speedy drive-through window. Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Flagler for three. Yes.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
John Jacobs, Alvin Brooks III. We had them earlier. Tweety Carter tomorrow. Jared Nunez, promoted to assistant coach at Baylor men's basketball by Scott Drew. Jared, we really didn't care about that. We were going to call and find out if you had any new Nike stuff for us, as I've heard that's what everyone thinks about when they call you.
Yeah, that actually happens quite often. But the good thing is, I got my boy Tweety Carter that I'm gonna be training in on all that stuff, and he's gonna have to deal with it all.
Absolutely. Good for you. What does today mean to you now that it's official? Or when Scott Drew told you this, what did it mean to you?
It meant a lot. I think throughout the years Coach and I have had different conversations at different times when there's been some movement, and I just think timing-wise for me, wasn't always the best time, but I felt like I was ready to kind of be in this position. But to lose a guy like Coach Kang and everything he's done for our program, and just one of my mentors and things I've learned from him, and just the opportunity for me to step in and not replace him, but just be the best me and to help Scott and help our program continue to have the success we've had. It was just a blessing for him to give me that opportunity. So very, very excited, very happy with it, and hopefully we can keep this thing rolling.
Now, we know what you're excited to pass on to Tweety. What are you most excited to kind of develop and do now in this new role?
Just the excitement of being able to get on the road, evaluate a little bit more, be able to, do more home visits with recruits and their families, do a lot more. I'm a big relationship guy, so just having the opportunity to speak more face-to-face. So a lot of the recruiting I did helping wise was, via text messages or phone calls or FaceTime. So, just the opportunity to do a lot more face-to-face, and then just being on the court with the guys, doing the other part that I love to do besides having relationships is just coaching, being able to do workouts and do more stuff on the floor. So I'm really looking forward to that too.
You got into coaching quickly after your playing career at Valpo was over, and you've done a lot of teaching of different types over the years. Where did that come from? Where did that kind of get instilled in you, and where did, the desire to be a coach, how early did that hit you?
Well, my dad actually played professionally for the Phoenix Suns, and then after he was done playing, he did some scouting for the NBA, and then he also did some college coaching with the University of Minnesota, and then he was a high school coach for several years. So I think the coaching part I got from him. And to be honest, at Valpo, just having a close relationship with the assistant coach. Scott was assistant coach at the time, and just the relationship him and I had as a player coach, we worked really well together. And that relationship has just carried over for me, just from a professional standpoint, just moving from a player to a coach. So it's always kind of been in me to want to do that after I got done playing, and thankfully I've had that opportunity.
When we've had Alvin and Coach Jacobs on, and we've asked them about you, and one of them told us a story about the Nike and all that, but they all could not say enough about how you have an unbelievable tree yourself of people in the business, from the Freddie Gillespie connection to many others as well. How much now can you use that even more to your benefit?
I'm gonna do the best I can to lean on those relationships and hopefully build more relationships. And obviously the great thing about Baylor is we recruit as a staff, we recruit as a team, and the great thing about working at Baylor, those two guys are unbelievable coaches, but they're two of my very closest best friends. So we share everything together. We help each other. So just the opportunity for me to, again, use those relationships that I have already, build more relationships and lean on those guys to just kind of further expand the recruiting tree and develop those relationships over time.
Do you ever kind of sit back and realize how not everybody gets to go to work with everybody that they like? I mean, it's, there's a lot of people who go to work every day and they like one person in the office, but you guys like everybody.
What are you looking at?
Yeah. See, okay. You see what I'm talking about, Jared?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a big time credit to Coach, to Scott, because he's such a we person. and he's such a genuinely nice person. And, he creates that culture and that atmosphere. Now, it helps that when you have guys who are similar to him, that are unselfish, that work well together, that don't have egos, that help each other. It's a joy to come to work every day. I've been in situations before here where it hasn't always been the case. I'm doing other jobs before, so it's truly a blessing. We feed off each other. We have each other's back. Losing a guy like Tang, I mean, we've had to rally, and we're going to rally. And, our loyalty to coach and want us to have success in this program is what we all want. So we're going to continue to work hard so that happens.
Jared, I asked the other coaches this when we talked to them, but have you had a time or a moment since the season ended to kind of sit back and reflect, or is that something that comes here in the near future?
I would say this past week, just a little bit of the disappointment, the emotional roller coaster after the game against North Carolina. You take a couple days to just really not think about basketball and clear your head, spend time with your family. But I think that within the last few days, I've been able to reflect on, what kind of year we had, things that we had to overcome, adversity we had to overcome. And, we had a really, really good year. It didn't end the way we wanted it to. I still think if we would have been healthy, the outcome could have been different. But, our guys fought and we fought. And, hopefully this upcoming year we can stay healthy and we can really get back to the places where we want to go.
Jared, I mentioned Freddie Gillespie and some of the role you had in not only his recruitment but others, including incoming players. Also those who are part of this team now, the Kendall Brown and the decisions he made, and, of course, the great Davion Mitchell. How much the way you were able to be involved in whatever role with that or anyone that's come to Baylor with you being a part of it, does it help that they all experienced a fantastic time so they then can help recruit for you?
Yeah, I mean, you're only off to say, hold on 1 second. I think I lost you. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, often when you, you're only as good as your players. I mean, that's the reality. I mean, I feel like we're all great coaches, but, your players you're only going to be as good as your players. And when you've had players that you've had great relationships with that have had success, playing for your organization, your program, it always helps because players often recruit players. So if you have a bunch of guys that don't have good experiences or don't have good relationships with the staff, it makes it tough. It makes it tough for you to continue to get the kind of high character, high talented players that you've been able to get the last few years. So it's a blessing to have those guys have the success and be the type of guys that they are, to help us continue to bring guys in like those guys.
What's been the key to you guys in being so good at the transfer portal?
I think opportunity, one, just making sure that there's an opportunity for guys to step in and play that role. The other thing I would say is just our environment. I think, we're a culture of, we kind of created a culture of joy, but also the culture of hard work. We don't have a lot of distractions here in Waco. Our guys like Davion, Maceo, guys even like Tweety Carter, guys who have put the time and the effort in the gym. And it's just kind of become that culture of just working. If you want to work and you want to be a part of a program where, we do this thing together, we do it the right way, we're a good place for you. If it's not what you want, we're probably not the right place for you.
You mentioned I'm sorry, Jared. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No problem.
No, if you said if it's not the right place for you, you got a feel for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the interesting thing about the transfer portal is usually when people are in the portal, they're in there because they're looking for something different, obviously, right? They're looking for a change. So you have an opportunity at that point to really see if they are a fit for you and you are a fit for them, right? You can see what they're looking for, what their character is, what they value, what we value, and you get to see if it's a match. And if it's not, it's okay, but if it is, then usually, that's when you know that you're going to have some success. So I think that's the only benefit, or one of the many benefits of the opportunity to meet new guys, see if.
Jared, how important was it, seriously, when Jerome Tang was given the job and earned the job at Kansas State? One of the first things that came to my mind was others on staff and his possible attrition. I asked Mac Rhodes about this, among others. How important was it, and how good was Scott in the long run of keeping this entire thing together? Because it could have been not fractured in a negative way, but fractured because of opportunities.
Well, again, and the community of Waco, because it's an amazing place to live. It's an amazing place to raise a family. The support here is great. Obviously, working for a guy like Mac Rhodes is great. But just coach and just being able to work for somebody who is extremely loyal, who gives you a voice, who treats you like you are as valuable as anybody else, who's willing to sacrifice and do the things that a lot of head coaches probably at this point, with all the success that they've had, like Scott has had, isn't willing to do. And it just makes it easier to pass up opportunities that some of us may have gotten in the past, just being able to stay and know that we're working for a man like Scott.
How hard was it to handle the Nike account as far as in your role? We started off with that, and how Tweety now has that role, and you're going to have to you could not keep everybody happy, could you? There's not enough of it, is there? Or was there?
Yeah. No, him and I, it's funny you said that, because him and I just talked about that today. And Tweety's going to have some new rules for some of the vets coming back. And I can't wait to see how they respond to some of these rules, because he's laying down the hammer on some of these guys. You're going to have to do specific things to get some gear. But no, I actually enjoyed it, to be honest. I mean, it could get a little crazy at times because everybody thinks you have an unlimited supply of stuff. Which is not true. And I told Tweety he's going to have to learn how to say no, and that's hard. But it takes a lot of organization. It takes a lot longer than people would think. But I'm still going to be doing a little bit of it because I'm going to help him transition. But I am happy to say that Tweety Carter will be handling all of the Nike gear by the middle of the year of 2022. So
hey, look,
good luck, Tweety.
If you're a veteran of this program, Tweety Carter's the godfather now. So
Tweety Carter is the guy.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
You got to listen to him.
Yeah, you're going to find out pretty quickly, Jared, how many of those former players really, really loved you. And
right.
All of a sudden, they're not going to be texting you as much, and you're going to go, that's okay with me.
Very true. Very true.
Oh, my goodness.
Funny.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate your time. Congratulations, Jared. What a day with Coach Jacobs and Coach Brooks, you as well. And then tomorrow we get a chance to visit again with Tweety, and what a great opportunity for him and the staff. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Sick and Bears.
You too. It's Jared Nunez. Oh, we have we need to take that clip and play it tomorrow when we have Tweety on the show early on. Make sure he heard that correctly.
I'll just say that if you're a former Baylor player and Tweety Carter tells you these are the rules, you kind of have to adhere to that because, and you can see this when you get the chance to see Ode Joy. Kind of none of this really happens without Tweety Carter.
No.
Like he's the godfather. He's the one, the domino that fell, that kind of opened the door for everything else. So if Tweety Carter says no,
When I shared a couple of, I actually talked to Ashley Hodge on the phone earlier today when I had heard that some of this was going to be happening and they were going to release it in increments, which they did, and that we would have some of the guests. I called Ashley. I said, won't Tweety's relationship with the state of Louisiana be a big deal? And he went, oh, yeah. Yeah, again, there's certain things he can and cannot do in the role he is, but that is still the pipeline that they want to keep opening up. And when Jared Nunez, this is from Ashley on one of the, I guess you could say one of the threads. Freddie Gillespie, Kendall Brown, There's Dane Danger, who was here for a while, and there's a couple other. He didn't. I know that didn't amount to. He didn't get to do much. He had a note of the other players that Coach Nunez was a part of that he brought to Baylor, and it's a really impressive list, a very impressive list. And so he has been his relationship. Just think about Kendall Brown and as well. Kendall Brown, Davion Mitchell, Freddie Gillespie, Dylan Hunter, who's a class of 2022 coming in freshman, and Dane Danger. All right, when we come back, it's 5:25. A couple of things to get to. Which college basketball programs among over 300 had the largest jump from wins a year ago to wins this year? How many of them were a part of the NCAA tournament? That and more. Sikkim 365 Radio, 365 Sports.
Baylor University is where lights shine bright. So, let there be light. Let there be roommates and teammates, scholarship and championships. Let there be fresh starts and new traditions, fast friendships and lasting impacts. Let there be laughter. Let there be joy. Let there be light. Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Brad Boozer, Boozer's Jeweler, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I've seen people walk in there. First of all, you have so much to show. Necklaces, bracelets, rings. You have the watches. You have numerous great watches as well. You really have pretty much everything, don't you, when it comes to jewelry?
That's correct. Kind of a one-stop shop and all. And the fact that we have the 2 jewelers on staff, the repairs we can do, the fixing of your jewelry, and the remaking of any jewelry has really set us apart from anybody else.
You want to know why they're successful? Brad Boozer, the owner of Boozer's Jewelers on the corner of Valley Mills and Lake Air in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and soon to open in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
As Mac Rhodes even mentioned during a segment with us, that Baylor's Pro Day is tomorrow. As the NFL scouts, personnel, others, GMs, coaches are combing the country. Of course, the NFL owners' meetings going on as well in Florida. We're now joined by NFL Hall of Fame writer, Houston Chronicle columnist John McClain, Sikkim 365 Radio and 365 Sports. John, what are your thoughts? They did, I guess they approved the overtime rule, playoff games only. Is that going to solve most of the outrage that we saw with Buffalo, Kansas City?
I think it should, and people are wondering why didn't they do it in regular season. Well, the last thing the networks want is to have, say, Sam Darnold and Drew Lock going at it and delaying the network programming on Sunday night for CBS and Fox, because NBC Sunday Night Football comes on in a Sunday Night America, and that's the highest rated show on television in the fall. So they want to get the 60 Minutes and NCIS LA and NCIS Hawaii and what else they have on CBS and Fox. So I can understand it. Now, only thing I would like them to tweak might be for the next year, say December, when it's coming down to crunch time and every game means so much. Maybe you could have it in for the last 3 games or 5 games, something like that. But this is a step in the right direction, long overdue.
John, what do you think the end game is for some of the things going? I mean, Jerry Jones has some off-the-field stuff going on right now that I'm sure he'll get set out of court, but, I mean, it seems to be worse for Dan Snyder. What's the NFL's end game with Dan Snyder right now?
They have an investigation, a continuing investigation. If they don't force Snyder to sell Washington, no owner's got to worry about that. I mean, think of the embarrassment he's brought to the NFL. He's let one of the best, most storied, successful franchise with a long waiting list for tickets become one in which the stadium on game days is like a mausoleum, and it's almost every month some new charge comes out about sexual misconduct. If they don't force him to sell, I don't think they're going to force anybody to sell, even Stephen Ross. And they announced that the same investigator doing both. And she and her staff will have their hands full. And Jerry Jones, of course, has got his own hands full. That latest story in ESPN by their top investigative guy, Don Van Natta, came out yesterday. It was hard for me to tell, the players without the program, so to speak. Yeah. There were so many names that he disclosed, and I was really surprised because the original story about the cheerleader escapade, the payola, and Rich Dalrymple, the person that tipped him off, said was a former executive. Well, now he names that guy, and they're trying to bring in Charlotte Jones. Her divorce, the guy she was married to, is being a perpetrator behind all this. So at some point, you would think the league would have an investigation into that. But the difference is Jerry Jones is liked and respected, and he makes a lot of owners a lot of money. Dan Snyder doesn't make them squat. The only thing he makes them is embarrassed to be associated with him.
John, I'm glad I'm not the only one that was somewhat confused by that article, just because, like you said, there were a lot of names, and this person said this, and it was Anderson and Davis and Jones and all that. But yeah, it was interesting. It was kind of hard to follow. But I know you had an article that came out on Davis Mills and the Texans keeping their draft options open. What are your thoughts on Davis Mills, John?
Well, first of all, Davis Mills is their starting quarterback, and he will be the starting quarterback going into next season. And I think they'll add a quarterback either as an undrafted free agent or at the bottom of the draft. They have 3 6th-round picks in the 7th. They're not going to be drafting a quarterback in a premium round because they're committed to Mills. Now, publicly, they won't be that strong as I just am, because I'll guarantee you, when they have 3rd overall pick or even the 13th overall pick, they want teams to worry that they might draft one of those quarterbacks and say, hey, how about we give you a couple of picks to swap places? I'll guarantee you, and I've told people here, that's what Nick Caserio is trying to do by not coming out and saying, hey, Davis Mills is our guy, but the truth is he is their guy and should be their guy.
John, how much now is all of Deshaun Watson no longer anything to do with the Texans, and it's all Cleveland? It's in their hands, and you don't have, and the Texans don't have to deal with that very much, or is that true?
Well, I've done the last, let's see, 2 days. I've done 11 talk shows and podcasts, and every one of them was about Watson.
Okay.
And I've done 5 in Cleveland, including NPR, and it's still all about Watson. Now, eventually here, I'm guessing as long as he has those 22 civil suits for sexual assault, misconduct, and harassment, it'll be news here. Somebody leaked one of his depositions that's on the internet, and which I don't think is fair to him. But I hope that his accusers get what they're looking for, either a court case and a verdict or a settlement. Because as I've told people, 14.5 months, as someone who's lived all those lawsuits 3 times, there's some despicable allegations in there. And Watson's got a whole lot of proving to do to people. And first thing he should worry about is the people who've accused him. And that's not going to go away anytime soon. But if I'm the Browns, I'm giving a guy $230 million guarantee. I said, look, I'll do this. I'm going to take all kind of heat, not only from other NFL owners for setting this kind of precedent, but from our fans and our media, and we'll do it. But you got to guarantee us you're going to get this taken care of before training camp. We don't want this to be a distraction every day of the season, and it's going to cost him a lot of money.
Yeah, John, I watched the press conference last week, and yeah, you know, they didn't answer a lot of questions well. I know that they can't. The one thing that will keep coming up in these things for Deshaun Watson is, why do you have to go to social media to get 22 different massage therapists? It's just weird.
Well, it wasn't just 22. His attorney produced 18 that said he was a perfect gentleman. That's 40. And then 2 talked to Sports Illustrated. That's 42. And we'd be stupid to think there were nobody else out there, that they just haven't come forward because they didn't want their name dragged through the mud. And I don't care what he says, well, it's over a 5-year period. That's still way too many, the way he went about it. He should have said when he has regrets, I made mistakes. Yes, I have regrets about my actions. I have regrets. There's a stain on my name. My image has been tarnished. I will work as hard as I can to try to get back my reputation as much as I can. Those are the regrets that I have. But he said I don't have any regrets. He looked terrible. Then when he said he went to Cleveland, didn't have anything to do with the contract, people are like rolling their eyes. Of course, $230 million guaranteed had everything to do with it.
John, I think this happened the day after we talked to you. If not, we can just move on to the next question. But what were your thoughts on Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins?
I think that Patrick Mahomes makes a lot of players look great. And Tyreek Hill is fast. He likes to catch deep routes. Tua Tagovailoa doesn't throw deep routes very much. Now, Hill likes to run crossing routes, slant routes, where he can take a quick pass, turn the corner, and go. And that's what he'll have to do, because Tagovailoa throws a lot of slant routes. But I don't think all of a sudden he's going to go down there and help them win the division. Buffalo will win the division. What they've got to do is try to win a wild card berth. And based on all the moves they've made in personnel and the money they've spent, if they don't make the playoffs, maybe they're going to fire McDaniels and hire a guy like, Sean Payton.
Hey, John, it's pro day tomorrow at Baylor. Obviously, they've had some years where it was a must-be at, and it depends on what teams are looking at, but there's a pro day tomorrow. Have you been able to go to any of those in the last couple of years?
I went to Baylor 2 or 3 years in a row, and then I was told by somebody I couldn't come, so I haven't been back. And I'll say this one, based on their performance at the Combine, Baylor's going to have a lot of guys drafted, and Jalen Petrie's going to run. And he didn't run at the Combine. He looked great. Right now, he's a second-round pick. It's a deep draft for safeties, but if he runs well, that'll just solidify him as an early second-round pick and help him make more money. But Baylor's going to have – I can't remember the last time Baylor has as many guys as they're going to have drafted next month.
Yeah, there seem to be quality players, and some of them, very old as far as college years because they stayed an extra year or whatever from the Matt Rule years, and even Petrie was recruited by Art Browse and his staff all the way through Rule, and then, of course, Aranda.
2016, Corey Coleman, Howard, Billings, Drango, Landis, Rico Gathers. That was six guys there. But, it's all 4, 5, 3. It's been a while since this number of guys for sure.
I wonder if Grant Taft had a team that may have had, that 5 or 6 levels drafted back when the draft was longer.
The 83 team had Cedric Mack, Randy Grimes, Charles Benson, Bo Metcalf, Mark Kirchner, Jeff Gandy, David Mangum.
7.
So there's 7 right there in 83.
How many rounds was the draft then?
Well, there's at least a 12th round pick because that's when David Mangum went. So,
So, that's a little different. When I first started, it was 16 rounds. When I was a fan before that, they had it during the season, and they would have a draft at the league office. Most of them were drafted as 24 rounds out of Street and Smith's football magazine. And when the draft was over, then they'd pile in a luxury bus and go to Yankee Stadium and watch the Giants play.
Cool.
John, have you seen Ode to Joy, the Baylor men's basketball documentary?
Not yet. That's one of those things I'm going to sit down and watch all of them at once. Once I get some things taken care of here.
Yep.
And get a little time to do it. I like to watch things all at once. I don't like watching and waiting a week, and that's what I like about streaming.
Well, I brought that up because I sent you a text about Tweety Carter's now a part of the Scott Drew staff, and of course he'll join us tomorrow. We had other coaches today. I think that I thought Coach Drew, considering Jerome Tang as good a guy as he is, a great coach, and everyone loved him, Coach Drew, his entire staff remained one, despite the loss of Jerome Tang to Kansas State. That doesn't happen very often.
Well, I thought that Tang was going to get a head coaching job before this. I'm happy for him. Scott Drew has been able to hang on to coaches better than most teams who have such a successful program, and that's great for the program, but everybody wishes Tang the very best except twice a year.
Thank you, John. We appreciate you as always.
Thank you, guys. Sick 'em.
That's John McClain, Hall of Fame NFL writer, Houston Chronicle, every Tuesday with us. And
is this Jalen Hurd? Is this Jalen Hurd in the yellow?
Is that?
I thought it's Petrie.
No, in the yellow.
In the yellow.
Yeah, in the yellow.
I know what Jalen Petrie looks like.
Yeah.
Is it?
Maybe. Yeah, okay.
Looks like Jalen Hurd standing behind Jalen Petrie.
Is that the Brian Etheridge's picture?
I guess, whoever I pulled up, but it's JT Woods and Jalen Petrie, and then looks like JalenUrd behind
in the background,
him.
former Baylor receiver,
Tomorrow's pro day.
Yeah, he
doesn't
might,
have a
he
team,
might work
so
out.
That's why I'm asking I wonder if that is him, and it looks an awful lot like him, then I'm curious to see if maybe he's participating tomorrow in the pro day activities.
That's Jerry Hill.
Yeah.
John Warner.
Yeah. We know who aren't.
Yeah, we know who the two non-football players are.
One of them is Cooper Kupp, and the other one is Cole Beasley. All right, it's 5:42. On a day, a lot of things going on with the Baylor men's basketball staff. We appreciate that and the time with all three. Thanks to David Kay for helping set all of that up with Jared Nunez, also with John Jacobs and Alvin Brooks III. You can hear it. You can feel it. How, in fact, all of them are one, and how that came about.
I don't want to. I do want to completely change topics here for a second because there was something in Off the Radar that I did not get to that I would really like to get to because I've been wanting to talk about it for a couple of days. We got so distracted by Will Smith, but rest in peace to Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters. I had that, as my top thing, and I just flip over to different notes, and I forgot to roll back around to that because we were short on time. But that was definitely an Off the Radar, but one that was important enough for me to stop down right here and mention it, that Taylor Hawkins passing over the weekend. Devastating. I'm not even like a major, I know Paul's a huge Foo Fighters fan, but I am Nirvana's my band. I love Nirvana. That's just my wheelhouse growing up. And so there's definite connections there, obviously. And so just following along with Dave Grohl and couldn't watch much of him without seeing Taylor Hawkins eventually next to him in pretty much every video because those two were thick as thieves. But, yeah, just way too young, tragic. And I know there's talk about, the drugs that were in his system or whatever may have happened, but just really abrupt and out of nowhere and just sad because, man, you talk about a dude that just had life and energy and seemed like the coolest dude in the world to hang out with, and plus he was a fantastic effing drummer. Yeah, rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins.
Yeah, I had the opportunity, and they're my favorite band, the Foo Fighters are, and I had the opportunity finally to see them in person. It was one of those things that you work in sports media, and, Foo Fighters seem to come through Texas on October 9th a lot when I'm doing high school football games, and so I never got to see them, and I was really starting to get at me, and then they played on my birthday in Houston a couple years ago, and you guys know I went down to that concert, and Taylor Hawkins was one of the best parts of the concert when you saw a Foo Fighters show because he was such a fantastic drummer, and he's a great singer too. Yeah. They would let him, one of the best parts of the concert is Dave goes and gets on the drums, and Taylor comes down and sings a couple songs. Sometimes they're covers, sometimes they're actual Foo Fighters songs, and but the Foo Fighters are kind of the last great working rock band going right now, and losing Taylor Hawkins is he and Dave Grohl are best friends, and they were very tight. He was very talented, and they just had a movie come out, as a matter of fact, that they did, and so it's kind of heartbreaking for any fans of the Foo Fighters and his family and Dave Grohl and all of them. That's
not going to be the same band. No. I know they announced they canceled their tour dates a couple hours ago, and that's not a surprise at all. I can't even imagine what Dave Grohl in particular is going through right now because they were so tight. But yeah, that was sad, man. I saw that news and I could not believe it. It made no sense. You see people pass away suddenly, but even though he had some history with substances and problems and things like that, he had seemingly, Paul, been cleaned up for a while, at least on the surface, and clearly there was some stuff behind the scenes, but he was handling it all and doing his business, and was a great drummer and all that. So just so out of nowhere, man. Like, some people, you hear it and you're like, kind of figured that was going to happen, but not Taylor Hawkins. I really that blew me away. So rest in peace, man. He was a great human being from all indications and super talented cat.
Well, you know how I don't associate names, bands, members to songs, right? So here's a list, and this doesn't mean it's your list, but this is I think one of them is Billboard, the top 5 or 6 songs. My Hero, Everlong, Learn to Fly, Best of You, All My Life. Which is your favorite? Craig? Paul?
On that list, Learn to Fly is probably my favorite one of that.
Which we could play. It would be nice. We can't because of copyright to be able to just wrap out.
Wheels is probably my favorite Foo Fighters song, but I have a lot. Rope. There's a lot. There's tons.
Yeah,
I've known you 12 years. I remember
been around a while.
But I don't remember that was. I always thought it was. I forgot who I thought it was. I know who it's not.
Yeah.
But I did not realize that was your go-to.
I've fallen, even a couple months ago, I get into these rabbit holes on YouTube, and one of the interviews and bands I was just consuming everything was the Foo Fighters a couple months ago, and especially Dave and Taylor and their interviews and their chemistry. And so, I can't imagine what Dave Grohl's going through right now with us as close as they were. But, hell of a band. Curious to see kind of how it plays out for them. I have a hard time imagining them doing this without him as the drummer. But, other bands have lost legendary members before, but I don't think,
I think it's going to be a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's going to be anything that we have to worry about learning anytime soon because it's going to take a while to grieve. But, man, that was brutal. So, rest in peace, Taylor Hawkins.
Biggest turnarounds, basketball wins from last year to this year, as we are with 3 games to go. And then Paul's top 5. The top changes. Townsend State and Middle Tennessee had a 21-win difference from 4 wins to 25 and 5 to 26. Iowa State went from 2 wins, we know that, to 22. University of North Carolina Wilmington from 7 to 27. How about this? Duke from 13 and 11 last year, they've won 32 games this year. Wake Forest 6 to 25. A&M tied for 7th with Murray State, A&M Corpus Christi, and Vermont. A&M went from 8 wins to 26.
Yeah, and they got about 25 of those in the second half of the season. It feels like after their long losing streak, they went on quite the run.
And they're playing tonight in the semifinals of the NIT against Washington State, then St. Bonaventure and Xavier in the other one.
Here's a college football realignment note. Conference USA, Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Mississippi have reached a resolution that will allow those schools to withdraw as members at the end of this academic year. And Conference USA will move forward with 11 members starting in 2022-2023. Those universities will compete as members of the Sun Belt. So that's now been resolved.
Yeah, and you wonder, and I have seen a couple of little snippets of whispers, this and that, about conference, the changes, the American Football Conference, which, of course, Houston, Cincinnati, and also UCF, and with Mike Oresco, I'm not reporting this. I'm just saying you've seen a little bit of smoke about whether or not there are negotiations to allow that to move on. The American Football Conference wants to move on with their new group, and so we'll see how that works out over the next few weeks as well. It is 5:49, and this is Sikkim 365 Radio. 365 Sports, the top 5 is next.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance, and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, hand or wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trusts. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to championsalonandbarber.com.
Top 5 questions for Duke as we head into the Final Four. Yesterday, UNC. You might see, if you go back and watch yesterday's, you'll see an overlap on one question or one of these. Number 5, can you play the same type of defense you have been? Because look, earlier in the year, when we had Oglesby on earlier in the show, and one of the things he said, Duke, the ACC wasn't playing good out of conference. They weren't playing good defense. They weren't doing all these things. But Duke lately has been playing really good defense, especially given what else they had been doing all year. So can you keep up playing this great defense? You're going to have to against a team in North Carolina that has played better defense in the tournament, but is not built on that because they can't foul a lot. They can't get in foul trouble, so they got to play back a little bit and rely on their scoring.
I'm blown away by what I see, not because they don't have the talent. We know. I just thought I want to go back. I'll go all the way back to what I saw when they played Tech, and Tech controlled the tempo of that game, and Duke just kept. They never took that extra 4, 6, 8 point run that Tech used to put you in that headlock, and I just thought Roach and of course Banchero and all, they just were fantastic. And of course what North Carolina did to Baylor up until Manick was ejected is still mind-boggling that they just crushed them.
Yeah, Duke's gotten better on defense. Am I correct in saying that one of the problems they were giving Tech was kind of their zone looks there later in the game?
Yeah, they changed it up.
Tech was, a little slow to adjust to it. They ultimately did, but they've changed some things up and just played better. The interesting thing is this is not the same game it was a month ago when they played. Because not only is Duke a different-looking team, but
sorry about that, guys. Yep, I was looking up the highlights of that game. Okay.
Yeah. Not only is Duke a different team, but North Carolina clearly is a different team from even when they played that game, even though they won that game. They've just been on a run ever since then. So, yeah, defense has been one of Duke's big boosts here as of late, and we'll see if they can keep it going. No reason to believe that they can, but obviously North Carolina's got some athletes too.
Big difference in that first game was free throw. North Carolina 19 of 22, Duke was 6 of 8. Across the board, everything else was pretty even as far as percentages, rebounds, turnovers. But that was one of the big differences.
Well, they won by 13, and that's 13. That's 13 points right there. Number 5, can you get UNC in foul trouble, which they weren't able to do at Cameron Indoor the last time they played them. Baylor was able to do it, and that's how they were able to get back in that game. But if you can get UNC in foul trouble, then you've got something going. But they've been pretty good at avoiding it for 99% of the year.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing because we kept talking about Baylor, the attrition and injuries. And here they ended up playing North Carolina, and one of the first things I noticed is that North Carolina plays with 6 or 7 guys.
Not 7.
Yeah.
6 is only because you kind of have to put a guy in for a second. But, yeah, I don't know. Can you get them in foul trouble? We'll see. They're pretty good at not being in foul trouble.
Yeah, they are. I think they're mindful of that, and that's not really a game plan you bank on if you're Duke. Is let's get them in foul. You just got to go out there and play, and hey, if it falls your way, and especially their big man get in trouble, then that'll be a great thing for Duke. But that's a question. Can they?
Yeah. Number 3, can you overwhelm UNC with depth? Can you wear their 5 out that they're going to play there? Can you run some guys in there? That wasn't the case the last time. It was the case the first time when they won by 20. So, which one is the real one? We'll see it in the Final Four on Saturday.
When Duke blew out Carolina back whenever they played earlier by 20, they out-rebounded North Carolina 40-24. 40-24 and shot 58% from the field. So that's something to look back. Just a couple of stats when they've played. But can they overwhelm them with their depth? Duke does seem to have that wave that they can bring in as well.
Yeah. Number 2, can you put the Coach K Day debacle behind you? Are you overcome with guilt? Do you have that where you're like, oh my God, we ruined that last one for Coach K? Is that still in their minds? Are you mature enough to move on and make this a bigger game, which it is? It's a Final Four game. It's much bigger than Coach K's last game at Cameron Indoor, but can you put that behind you? I think You probably can. I think this is kind of nice that you get this opportunity if you're Duke to put that behind you.
Yeah, I sure think they can. If they can't, then that's a terrible coaching job. Yeah. I mean, that game doesn't mean anything right now. That game means absolutely nothing other than bragging rights for UNC fans. And, they're never going to, change bragging about sending Coach K out a loser at home. So, I mean, you better put it behind you because it's not going to change. It's not going to stop. And, the best answer to anybody who wants to bring up the Coach K finale is to say, well, hey, we still won a national championship at the end of this, and we beat you in the Final Four on the way to doing it. So that's what Duke can do. And yeah, that would put it firmly behind them, I think.
And number one, same thing for UNC. Will the rivalry cloud their emotions? Do you get too keyed up because it is the biggest rivalry in college basketball and it's in the Final Four for the first time? You've got coaches that can handle it, but I think we might see kind of a sloppy game early because of that on both ends. But I think eventually it'll balance.
Yeah,
out.
this is a team. They've played each other dozens and dozens of times. There's been massive things on the line, but of course this one's different because it's never been in a Final Four. But yeah, I hope that we see North Carolina, who they've been for the last month and a half, and Duke and what we've seen from them the last 3 weeks. Because if that's the case, we might see an incredible basketball game that we talk about forever.
I mean, both these teams are used to being talked about. So, I mean, I don't think attention's really going to get to them now. Granted, the magnifying glass is as close as it's probably ever been for this game. I mean, even though others have had a lot of attention. I mean, this one, we've been hyping it up already for 3 days. I mean, it's already been talked about to death, and we're going to continue to talk about it until the game tips off. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see kind of how the outside emotions and attention kind of plays into this. But, I'd be more worried if it was a team or teams that didn't typically receive a lot of it. But these two get plenty of it, so I think that they'll handle it fine.
All right, thanks to Armstrong Sims. We have the full throttle over at Baylor's practice as it's winding down with Brian and Jack, Grayson and Colt, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak. Thanks to all of you today in the chat room on YouTube, 365 Sports, the text line as well. And a nice set of guests we're putting together for tomorrow, and we'll be here for that. Plus, we'll have whatever we see and hear and get from Baylor's Pro Day as well. David Smoak, Sikkim, 365 Radio, 365 Sports. Have a great evening. Thank you, and good night.